Chapter 596. Damn it! It would be great if another strongest expert could come and break his divine ability together. On the battlefield, Father God of the automaton race glared fiercely at the lump of metal in front of Chu Bei, his cold voice filled with unwillingness. Hong! Long! The battle went on, and the 5 Universe Supreme Masters kept changing their positions, but they couldn't hurt Chu Bei. Sitting Mountain Guest, Shihua, Black Universe, Virtual Real, I know you don't care about the benefits between races. But if you can help us break his devouring god art, we promise to not only divide a piece of human territory for you, but as long as you need it, the 5 of us can help you at any time. Even if it's going to the 3 most dangerous lands in Universe Ocean. Even though the battle had reached its climax, the 5 Universe Supreme Masters still couldn't take down Chu Bei. After that, Dream Demon Ancestor, Shock Demon Ancestor, Space Beast Ancestor, Bug Empress, and Father God communicated with each other. Dream Demon Ancestor finally spoke. Hearing that, the lone Universe Supreme Masters who were watching the battle changed their expressions. They weren't interested in the human territory, but they were tempted by the offer. At their level, they only wanted to become stronger. If they couldn't make a breakthrough, they could only look for the most powerful true treasures. These true treasures usually existed in the 3 most dangerous lands, but the 3 most dangerous lands were extremely dangerous. Even if they were strong, there was a risk of death. But if they helped Dream Demon Ancestor and Bug Empress, they would have a chance to gather the 5 Universe Supreme Masters when they explored the 3 most dangerous lands in the future. They were indeed tempted by such a temptation. How about this deal? Have you thought it through? Dream Demon Ancestor's voice was heard again. Not interested. Sitting Mountain Guest didn't respond. Shihua Island leader looked at Sitting Mountain Guest, and after hesitating, he shook his head. Black Universe Creator and Virtual Real Devil God looked at each other and disappeared. When they showed up again, they were beside Chu Bei and had joined the battle. Look! Black Universe Creator and Virtual Real Devil God, the 2 lone Universe Supreme Masters, have joined the battle. If that's the case, won't there be 7 Universe Supreme Masters besieging the owner of All Heaven's shop? Under such circumstances, can the owner of the All Heaven's shop still hold on? Looking at the 2 figures that suddenly appeared on the battlefield, the foreign race experts who were watching the battle were shocked. What kind of bullshit is this? As long as the benefits are there, they will still betray their principles. The group of Universe Masters from the human race looked at Black Universe Creator and Virtual Real Devil Master, who had joined the battle. It was also at this moment that the joy on the faces of all the humans disappeared, and it was replaced by deep worry once more. Let's see how long you can last! On the battlefield, the Star Beast progenitors' attacks grew fiercer and fiercer. Ever since Black Universe Creator and Virtual Real Devil Master had joined in, that iron lump's suction force was gradually unable to withstand the impact of the energy from the 7 Universe Supreme Masters, and it started to have real energy that was charging toward Chu Bei's original body. As expected, there's also a limit to the devouring divine ability of the owner of the All Heaven's shop. What's the limit? That's almost enough to bear the weight of 7 Universe Supreme Masters. I'm afraid since the birth of our universe, this is the first time that 7 Universe Supreme Masters besieged the same person. No matter what, this battle will end with the defeat of the human race. In my opinion, as long as the owner of All Heaven's shop doesn't defend the human territory, he can still protect himself with his power. The spectators from all the races were talking about it. Why are there 2 more joining in the attack on Sir Horde Leader? And judging from their power, they're not any weaker than the previous 5 fellows. Sir Horde Leader, isn't it 1 against 7 now? Can he still hold on? In the headquarters of the Earth Alliance, a group of higher-ups looked solemn as they watched the projection of Chu Bei on the battlefield. A battle at the level of Universe Supreme Masters was far from what they could fathom, but they could imagine just how much pressure Chu Beijing was under. At this moment, all the humans of the Earth Alliance clenched their fists, and they were getting more and more nervous. Chi. At the same time, in the space battlefield, the 7 Universe Supreme Masters, including Dream Demon Ancestor, Bug Empress, and Virtual Real Devil Master started to move closer to each other. 7 types of terrifying energy with different origin laws started to intertwine, and they started to merge amidst a creepy sound. "Let's see if you can survive this time," Space Beast Ancestor shouted coldly, and then it spread from the battlefield to the entire original universe. The next moment, the 7 types of energy intertwined and condensed into a beam of light, which shot across the sky and hit Chu Bei. One! In front of Chu Bei, Iron Lump waved his arms, and a pitch-black whirlpool was formed, crazily absorbing the terrifying 7-colored beam of light. "Not good! Senior, we can't hold on this time. Senior, you've done enough for us. On behalf of the human race, I'd like to express our gratitude. Please don't worry about us." Looking at the expanding whirlpool in the middle of the battlefield, which was about to explode, the group of human universe masters showed their unwillingness. At the same time, they looked at Space Beast Ancestor and the other 6 universe supreme masters with eyes full of hatred. "Is this going to be the end of this battle?" Shihua Island leader, who was watching the battle from afar, sighed, as if he felt sorry for Chu Bei. Sitting Mountain Guest's gaze was also cast on the battlefield, but he didn't say anything. Hong! Long! Finally, with a deafening sound, the 7-colored beam of light, which was mixed with the strongest attacks of the 7 Universe Supreme Masters, pierced through the gigantic whirlpool in front of Iron Lump's arms. At that moment, all the great beings from the human race felt their heartstrings tighten, and their thoughts stopped. The great beings from the other races also held their breaths, and their gazes were fixed on the 7-colored beam of light that had pierced through the gigantic whirlpool. However, just as the terrifying 7-colored beam of light was about to pierce through Chu Bei's body, he suddenly stopped. "Senior, what did he do? What are these blue-green beams of light? Why did they fly from our bodies to Senior? I don't know. This is the first time I've encountered such a situation, and there are no records of it in the ancient books. I don't feel the godly power in my body decreasing either. I really don't understand." At this moment, the crowd of human race experts opened their mouths wide and stared dumbfoundedly at the blue-green light spots that flew out of their bodies and rushed towards Chu Bei on the battlefield. They looked at each other in dismay, their faces full of confusion. Under their gazes, the light spots that flew out of their bodies finally floated around Chu Bei. "What are those things? What kind of technique is this? Could it be that the 7-colored beam of light from Space Beast Ancestor and the others stopped because of those light spots?" The great beings from other races who were watching the battle looked at the power of reputation that flew out of the bodies of countless humans, and they frowned in confusion. Soon, Chu Bei's entire body was enveloped by the blue-green light that surged from all directions. Above his head, a gigantic golden disk was floating, and it spewed out a blue-green light pillar. It was like the Milky Way hanging upside down, and it directly penetrated his entire body. At that moment, besides using the power of Xiaohei, Chu Bei also used the power of reputation that he had absorbed from many planes. Buzz! Buzz! In the roaring sound, Chu Bei's eyes shot out a blue-green light that was mixed with chaos, and it faced the 7-colored beam that seemed to be fixed. Hong! Long! There was an earth-shattering explosion. The gaze, which was a mixture of Little Black's power and the power of reputation, used its supreme power to annihilate the 7-colored light beam, which was a mixture of the 7 Universe Supreme Masters' supreme attacks, as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. What? What is going on? Shock Demon Ancestor, Dream Demon Ancestor, Space Beast Ancestor, Bug Empress, Father God of Automaton Race, Black Universe Creator, and Virtual Real Devil Master saw this scene, and they were all shocked. They couldn't believe that the powerful attack that the 7 of them had accumulated power for was actually destroyed by a ray of light from the opponent's eyes. When they came back to their senses, the 7 Universe Supreme Masters exchanged glances with one another. Then, once again, they activated the power of the laws of origin. From different directions, they struck out immeasurable godly rays toward Chu Bei. However, in the face of their strongest attacks, Their target didn't dodge at all, and he just let the 7 kinds of attacks hit him. In the end, their attacks couldn't penetrate the blue-green light that was wrapped in chaos on the surface of the opponent's body. Chapter 597. No! It's impossible! How could this be? Dream Demon Ancestor and Space Beast Ancestor yelled. It's not easy for you to cultivate, and I didn't want to kill you. However, in the end, all of you had the intention to kill me. A calm voice was heard from the battlefield and spread throughout the original universe. Chu Bei's voice was calm, but it shook the hearts of all the great beings from the human race and the other races. Amidst his indifferent voice, the chaotic light around Chu Bei's body and the blue-green pillar of light hanging from the golden disk above his head instantly shrank back into his body. At that moment, the whirlpool that had been pierced by the 7-colored light beam went back to normal and started to spin crazily again. The whirlpool was surrounded by a black light circle, and the suction force was getting more and more terrifying. At the next moment, Chu Bei took a step forward and the metal lump appeared above his head. The aura on his body also changed at the same time. Previously, Chu Bei's aura was comparable to that of Shock Demon Ancestor, Space Beast Ancestor, and the rest of the Universe Supreme Masters. However, at that moment, Chu Bei gave people a very ordinary feeling. He didn't have any power. However, if you really treated him as an ordinary person, you would find that there was a power that was hard to understand, and you would want to kneel down and worship him. On the battlefield, Chu Bei's robe moved without wind, and his hair was slightly raised. He put his hands behind his back and walked in the void space. Every time he took a step, the devouring power that coiled around him would tear open an enormous pitch-black hole in space. The hole was densely filled with black lightning and stars that circulated, releasing a supreme mighty force. Just now, what exactly happened to him? Why is there a strange aura? Shihua Island leader was shocked and couldn't help looking at Sitting Mountain Guest. Sitting Mountain Guest didn't say anything. He just frowned and looked at Chu Bei with a strange look in his eyes. Chi! At that moment, Shock Demon Ancestor, Dream Demon Ancestor, and the other Universe Supreme Masters were still attacking Chu Bei. However, the more they attacked, the more frightened they were. Previously, when they attacked, Iron Lump would still use his arms to block them. However, at that moment, it was as if the other party had been infused with new power. With just a few black halos thrown out, it easily swallowed up their strongest attacks. I killed your people, and you want to avenge him. I'll send you to see him. Chu Bei looked at the Space Beast primogenitor, raised his hand, and casually waved. When Chu Bei raised his hand and waved it, a black light mixed with light blue gushed out from his palm. It was the fusion of his prestige power and Xiao Hei's power. Looking at the terrifying black light that had appeared in front of it in an instant, the Space Beast Ancestor's huge eyes suddenly shrank. A chill inexplicably rose in its heart, and it instinctively felt a sense of crisis. However, when he tried to avoid it, he suddenly realized that his body seemed to be sucked in. Not only was he unable to escape, but he was also flying toward the black light uncontrollably. How? How is this possible? Looking at the approaching blue-black light, fear began to appear on the Space Beast progenitor's face. He couldn't understand. Not long ago, his opponent's power wasn't much stronger than his, but ever since the blue-green light spots mixed with the original chaos energy, his power had far surpassed his. This feeling was like a Universe Supreme Master facing a Universe Master, and he was that Universe Master. First one. Chu Bei looked at Space Beast Ancestor calmly. His voice was emotionless, and the light blue-black light engulfed Space Beast Ancestor. In an instant, the Space Beast progenitor let out a miserable shriek. In an instant, its tough scales were penetrated. Then, the devouring power seeped into its body and tore at its internal organs. Howling in pain, the Star Beast primogenitor twisted its huge body and roared. The 12 golden horns on its head condensed into a ball of light. However, even his strongest killer move couldn't resist the devouring power in the black light. Before it could hit Chu Bei, it was destroyed by the black light. Chi! Chi! The roar of the space beast ancestor became increasingly shrill. Its huge body also started to shrink at a crazy speed. Its head, claws, body, and wings started to distort one after another. In the end, its entire body merged into the black light and disappeared. Lord Ancestor. He's dead! Impossible! Even Huge Axe Creator couldn't have killed Lord Primogenitor so easily! The powerhouses of the Space Beast clan looked at Space Beast Ancestor who had disappeared from the battlefield. They couldn't accept such an outcome. The Xianya master from the Golden Horn clan was trembling violently. The two of you are next. Chu Bei looked at the Dream Demon Ancestor and the Shock Demon Ancestor from the Demon clan nonchalantly. Ever since he obtained the reputation power from the Devata realms, his strength had increased by several levels. With Xiao Hei's pure strength, his strength was at the second heaven of the Celestial King realm. Currently, his strength was at the ninth heaven of the Celestial King realm. Unfortunately, there was a time limit to the reputation power. However, it was enough for him to deal with the current situation. After witnessing the entire process of the cosmic beast Primogenitor's death, Shock Demon Deity and Dream Demon Deity looked at Chu Bei with fear in their eyes. Combine! The Shock Demon Ancestor and the Dream Demon Ancestor cried out in unison after they regained their senses. In the next moment, their huge tails swung at a high frequency at the same time, emitting an ancient and strange sound. It rumbled like the rumbling of heavenly thunder. They were displaying ancient methods. Two types of magical imprints that originated from the same source formed on their tails, and then they merged together. Dazzling light blossomed, as if heaven and earth were being created. It was incomparable. Kill! The Shock Demon Ancestor and the Dream Demon Ancestor joined forces and charged toward Chu Bei with the most powerful treasure skill in their clans. Chu Bei smiled knowingly. There was no hint of fear on his face. He raised his hand and a black ball of light appeared in his palm. A miniature devouring fruit could be seen spinning in the ball of light. Rumble! With a loud sound, the treasure skill of the Shock Demon Ancestor and the Dream Demon Ancestor was shattered and turned into a black light. Then, under countless pairs of eyes, the black ball of light expanded and enveloped the Shock Demon Ancestor and the Dream Demon Ancestor. Ah! Then, two shrill screams came from the ball of light. However, the screams faded away quickly. Could it be that the two beast progenitors were killed just like the star beast progenitor? Looking at the black ball of light, the universe masters from the demon clan were horrified. Shock Demon Ancestor and the Dream Demon Ancestor were gone. Chapter 598. On the battlefield, after Chu Bei killed Shock Demon Ancestor and Dream Demon Ancestor, he turned his attention to Bug Empress, Father God of Automaton Race, Black Universe Creator, and Virtual Real Devil God. Retreat! After witnessing Space Beast Ancestor, Dream Demon Ancestor, and Shock Demon Ancestor die one after another, they no longer had any desire to fight. Although they still couldn't figure out how the strength of the owner of the All Heavens shop had increased by several levels in an instant, the current situation was clearly telling them that if they continued to stay here, they would end up just like the Star Beast Ancestor. Hong Long! However, just as Bug Empress, Father God of Automaton Race, Black Universe Creator, and Virtual Real Devil God entered the void space to escape to Universe Ocean, the next moment, something happened that terrified them even more. A tyrannical power that surpassed their level forcefully knocked them out. Have you forgotten whose small world this is? If I don't let you go, do you think you can leave? At that moment, Chu Bei's mocking voice floated from the battlefield. We didn't mean to be your enemy. After confirming that they couldn't leave this small world, Black Universe Creator and Virtual Real Devil God looked at Chu Bei and spoke immediately. When you were tempted by benefits and chose to join the fight, your end result was no different from theirs. As his cold and indifferent voice sounded, Chu Bei appeared in front of Black Universe Creator and Virtual Real Devil God. Then he clapped his hands. Pun! Pun! With two explosions, Black Universe Creator and Virtual Real Devil God didn't even have time to scream before their godly souls and bodies exploded. Then they were swallowed by the darkness. It happened so fast that the two lone Universe Supreme Masters didn't even have time to react. Bug Empress and Father God of Automaton Race were stunned. They could even be described as numb. In just a few seconds, 5 Universe Supreme Masters were annihilated one after another. Now it's only the two of you left. Chu Bei walked toward Bug Empress and Father God of Automaton Race with a faint smile. No. Don't. Looking at Chu Bei, Bug Empress and Father God of Automaton Race kept retreating. Their huge bodies were trembling, and their voices were trembling. At that moment, their opponent's calm and indifferent voice sounded no different from the voice of hell to them. They couldn't summon any will to resist, and they only hoped that their opponent would let them go. However, that was obviously impossible. Under their terrified gazes, the huge shadow of iron lump pointed a finger and fixed the void space around them. After they couldn't move, a terrifying devouring power engulfed them like a surging river. Chi! In the blink of an eye, the Bug Queen and Father God were torn apart and sucked into the golden disk. Ever since the last two Universe Supreme Masters, Bug Empress and Father God of the Automaton Race, were killed, the battlefield quietened down. Looking at the battlefield where the battle had ended, Shihua Island leader was dumbfounded. It was as if he had lost his soul. He stood there motionless like a piece of wood and stared at Chu Bei, who had his hands behind his back. When Shihua Island leader came back to his senses, he took a deep breath. Besides shock, there was also a touch of relief on his face. Fortunately, he hadn't been tempted by Demon King and Space Beast Ancestor. Otherwise, he would have ended up like Black Universe Creator and Virtual Real Devil God. His godly soul would have been destroyed. Eternal True God! Sitting Mountain Guest looked at Chu Bei in a daze. His expression changed completely. His eyes focused on Chu Bei as if he wanted to see through him completely. What eternal true God? Shihua Island leader immediately looked at Sitting Mountain Guest. His eyes were filled with confusion and curiosity. Sitting Mountain Guest ignored Shihua Island leader. Instead, he focused on sizing up Chu Bei. However, the more he looked, the deeper his frown became. Dead. They're all dead. How could this be the result? Is that Master of All Heaven's shop really only at the same level as Sir Ancestor? Father God has been annihilated. From now on, our automaton race won't have any Universe Supreme Masters. The great beings from the Demon Race, Automaton Race, Bug Race, and Space Beast Race all turned gray in an instant. It was as if they had been struck by a bolt from the blue. It was also as if a basin of cold water had been poured over them from head to toe. Their entire bodies went numb. The result of this battle was too sudden and unexpected. They were caught off guard and couldn't accept it. He won. Sir Ancestor won. Those Universe Supreme Masters are all dead. Our human race's territory is safe. Haha. That's great. That's really great. In front of the human race's territory, a group of Universe Masters, including Primal Chaos City Leader, and thousands of Universe Knights came to their senses one after another. They exclaimed with excitement and joy in their voices. At the same time, on the original star, Luo Feng, Black Dragon Mountain Country Leader Lu Mubai, and all the cultivators from the 1008 universe countries who were watching the entire process through the virtual universe projection were all excited. Earth Alliance building. Is the crisis over? Sir Horde Leader won. If that's the case, Sir Horde Leader is truly the most powerful being in the entire universe. I really don't know where Sir Horde Leader came from. No need to care so much. Anyway, such a supreme being is our Earth Horde Leader. Plus, I'm his gatekeeper. The Alliance leader, Hong, Thunder God, and the rest of the upper echelons spoke up. The meeting room was soon filled with excited discussions. On the small path in Jian Region No. 3 High School, Wei Wen and Lu Xian felt as if a huge rock had been lifted from their hearts. They looked at Chu Bei with even more admiration. In Luo Feng's home, Luo Hua and Gong Xi and Lan hugged each other with smiles on their faces. What exactly happened to him? Ever since the two strongest lone wolves joined the fray, he has clearly fallen into a disadvantageous position. But why did his power increase so much in such a short time? How did he manage to kill 7 Universe Supreme Masters so easily? Could it be related to that blue-green light spot? What kind of power is that? Or perhaps this is his true power? Right now, I just want to know if he's still at the level of a Universe Supreme Master? If he's still the same, then the gap between the two realms is too huge. The great beings from the other races were in a daze. They seemed to be in the same situation as the great beings from the bug race and the demon race. It was hard for them to predict such an outcome. The situation had reversed too quickly. Especially when Chu Bei's power increased dramatically at the end, it made them even more confused. Chapter 599. Everyone, including the great beings from the human race, was shocked by this result. 7 Universe Supreme Masters. Even Teacher Origin, who was suppressed by the original Universe Origin, couldn't do this, let alone Huge Axe Creator, who had fallen in Tilted Peak Sector, in the area where the prison race army was. Lord Devil Ancestor, the Universe Supreme Masters from the Demon Race, Bug Race, and Automaton Race are all dead. Doesn't that mean our plan has failed? Universe Master Cam looked at Devil Ancestor of the prison race and asked. I didn't expect the owner of All Heaven's shop from the human race to be so terrifying. Maybe he's already surpassed the Universe Supreme Masters and stepped into a higher realm that we don't know about. Devil Ancestor of the prison race frowned. Although the plan of the human race has failed, the Universe Supreme Masters from the Demon Race, Bug Race, and Automaton Race are all dead. They're no longer my match. When I go back, I'll start fighting for their territories. Yes, Devil Ancestor. Hearing the prison clan's Devil Ancestor's words, Camus and Bashir looked at each other and answered at the same time. However, just as Devil Ancestor of the prison race, Cam, and Bashir were talking, they felt an inexplicable chill. The next moment, the three of them instinctively tensed up, and their hearts sank as if they were filled with cold lead. Then, the three of them focused their gazes on the battlefield again, and discovered that the owner of the All Heaven's shop was looking at them with a smile on his face. Let's go! Devil Ancestor of the prison race narrowed his eyes. After giving the order, he wanted to leave without hesitation. Although you haven't made a move yet, I know what you're thinking. Suddenly, Chu Bei's ridiculing voice drifted through the starry sky. Then, with a loud rumble, a terrifying devouring power appeared around them just as Devil Ancestor of the prison race and Chem escaped into the void space. The next moment, under their fearful gazes, the giant golden disc appeared again and came down from above their heads. Break! Devil Ancestor of the prison race roared. His arm, which was covered with a layer of silver shell and full of black muscles, hit upward with great power. Unfortunately, the arm covered in a silver shell was torn into nothingness by the terrifying power of the golden disc before it could even touch it. Then there was a shrill and painful wail. No, no! Witnessing the tragic deaths of the prison clan's Devil Ancestor, Cam, and Bashir, the group of prison clan experts trembled. However, no one dared to attack Chu Bei. All they felt was fear. It was the same for the monster race, the insect race, the machine race, and the giant beasts of the starry sky. Some of them did not even dare to look at Chu Bei. Whoosh! Just as the prison clan's Devil Ancestor was about to be killed, a figure among the space beasts flew away. It was Xian Ye, master of the Golden Horn lineage. Unfortunately, before he could fly far, a giant black palm appeared out of nowhere and swept across him. Bang! With a loud boom, the Xian Ye master's massive body exploded. When they witnessed this scene, the group of Xenorace experts that were spectating the battle didn't dare make a sound, and their eyes were filled with fear and terror. Congratulations to the owner of All Heaven's shop on your victory! On the battlefield, Shihua Island Lord flew to Chu Bei's side and greeted him politely. Chu Bei glanced at Shihua Island Lord indifferently, and nodded slightly. Then he turned his gaze to Sitting Mountain Guest. Sensing Chu Bei's gaze, Sitting Mountain Guest also nodded and greeted him. There was a strange look in his eyes, and no one knew what he was thinking. After that, he disappeared. "You've seen enough. Go back to where you came from." After Sitting Mountain Guest left, Chu Bei glanced at the army of other races that were spectating the battle. "From now on, whoever dares to attack the human race's territory will be killed without exception." His indifferent voice floated in the starry sky. The army of other races looked at each other, and didn't stay any longer. They all transformed into godly rainbows and flew away in different directions. "Senior, thank you for protecting the human race's territory." After the army of other races left, Primal Chaos City Leader immediately led a group of Universe Masters and Universe Knights to kneel before Chu Bei. Their eyes were filled with gratitude. "Get up! This is also my home." Chu Bei waved his hand and helped Primal Chaos City Leader and the others up. After saying this calmly, he took a step and appeared on the original star. "Teacher!" Luo Feng stepped forward immediately with excitement on his face. 1 hour later. In an extremely remote area of Universe Ocean. Hong! Long! With a deafening sound, a humanoid body that was larger than a miniature universe appeared in the depths of the starry sky. It was lying on its back and flying at a speed 10 million times faster than light speed. During the flight, the surrounding chaotic airflow under the high-speed collision formed a dazzling light, leaving a long streak of light in the void space. The direction it was heading was the original universe, where great beings were the most active, the 2 holy lands, and the area where miniature universes were the most concentrated. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, this humanoid body that was larger than a miniature universe maintained a terrifying speed. It didn't slow down until it entered the area where great beings from various powers in Universe Ocean could reach. "Have you heard of the human race?" "Of course. If I remember correctly, this race is a pinnacle race in the original universe of this reincarnation. Isn't Teacher Origin, who was once famous in Universe Ocean, from this race?" It's a pity that he was too arrogant and was suppressed by the original Universe Origin. Hee. This guy I'm going to talk about is also from the human race, and he's even more powerful than Teacher Origin. Not long ago, he killed 7 Universe Supreme Masters all by himself. You're not talking about the Huge Axe Creator, are you? Do you think Huge Axe Creator can kill 7 Universe Supreme Masters in one battle? Besides, I heard he died in Tilted Peak Sector. This person I'm talking about calls himself the Master of All Heaven's Shop. Master of All Heaven's Shop? Why haven't I heard of such a person before? It won't be long before all of you find out. This is the projection of the previous battle. Take a look at it yourself. Just as the Universe Masters who were wandering in Universe Ocean were having a heated discussion, a terrifying streak of light flashed past them. Hong! Long! At an incomparably terrifying speed, the shockwave formed from the surrounding chaotic airflow hit the bodies of these Universe Masters in an instant, and they were sent flying backward. Pooh! These Universe Masters spat out blood from their mouths, and dark golden blood flowed on the surface of their sturdy, scaly bodies. What? What was that? These Universe Masters from different miniature universes in Universe Ocean came back to their senses and looked at the golden streak of light in the distance. It took a long time for it to dissipate, and they were dumbfounded. They were already Universe Masters, so even in the perilous Universe Ocean, they were able to protect themselves. They had never thought that there would be a being who could hurt them so badly just by the shockwave from high-speed flight. And this was only the aftermath. If they had been hit directly, they would have died. What kind of being is that? The Universe Masters looked at each other and recalled the giant object that had passed them at such a high speed, and they were all scared. But soon, they seemed to think of something, and the fear on their faces was replaced by excitement. Opportunity. This must be a great opportunity. That's right. Whether it's inheritance or a valuable, I have to hold on to it. As long as I hold on to it, even if I can't become a Universe Supreme Master, I'll have the power to fight him. No matter how weak I am, I'll be able to escape safely from a Universe Supreme Master. The Universe Masters were all excited and performed teleportation right away. Chapter 600. Hong. Long. In Universe Ocean, a group of Universe Masters teleported several times over a long distance before they finally caught up to the side of the giant human-shaped object, which had slowed down and was moving forward at a slow speed. Gosh! This is a human-shaped life form! The group of Universe Masters resisted the terrifying whistling and tried their best to look over. When they saw the outline of this giant object, their pupils shrank, and they were horrified. How is this possible? The group of Universe Masters was dazed, and their expressions were somewhat dazed. They couldn't imagine that a giant object that was bigger than a miniature universe could be a human-shaped life form. Even if a Universe Supreme Master tried his best to make his godly body bigger, it could only be as big as the miniature universe he created. Besides, maintaining such a body would consume a lot of godly power, not to mention maintaining it without too much godly power waves. No, it can't be a life form. There's no such terrifying great being. It must be a strange object, like Universe Boat. It's just that Universe Boat is a boat, and this is a human-shaped object. After recovering from the shock, the group of Universe Masters still couldn't believe that this giant object was a life form. If there really was such a great being, not to mention them, even Universe Supreme Masters would be like ants in front of him, right? Since it's a strange object, let's make it stop first. After a while, the group of Universe Masters looked at each other and communicated with their eyes. They performed their secret techniques at the same time and attacked the giant human-shaped object in the distance. Hong! However, the joint attacks of these Universe Masters didn't have any effect on this giant object. Again! Seeing this, the group of Universe Masters launched another attack. Hong! Hong! After hundreds of times, the group of Universe Masters finally chose to give up. No, we have to report this to Ancestor first. The group of Universe Masters from different miniature universes hesitated for a while. As they followed the giant object, they used a secret technique to transmit their voice to their race. Swirling Water River is ahead. It's going to pass Swirling Water River. As time went by, the group of Universe Masters who were following behind suddenly changed their expressions. In Universe Ocean, other than the 3 lands of Extremis, there were many other places that were less dangerous, and Swirling Water River was one of them. The vast universe had experienced changes, from vigorous development to destruction, and then to new life. The cycle repeated itself. The current primal universe was the 3rd reincarnation era. In the first 2 eras of the original universe, a small number of supreme beings had transcended reincarnation and established new miniature universes in Universe Ocean. With the passage of time, countless great beings grew up in these miniature universes. For this reason, in Universe Ocean, other than the original universe, there were many miniature universes and 2 Holy Land universes. Purple Moon Holy Land, one of the 2 Holy Land universes. In the vast territory, figures could be seen flying everywhere. These figures had very unique appearances. Some had 8 faces and 24 arms, some had 4 faces and 16 arms, some had 3 faces and 8 arms, and the most common one had 2 arms. In the Purple Moon Sanctuary, the most important clan was the Purple Moon Clan. Those who had unique appearances were all from the Purple Moon Clan. However, because they had different characteristics, they were divided into 4 classes. These 8-faced and 24-armed beasts were the rarest. They had the purest bloodline and the greatest potential. Of course, this division only applied to the weaker members of the Purple Moon race. Once one became a Universe Master, there would be no distinction between the ranks. After all, they were all supreme beings. Wasn't that the 9 Peak Masters? Wasn't he looking for true treasures in Universe Ocean? Why are you back? Greetings, 9 Peak Masters. A group of Purple Moon Clan members who were practicing immediately bowed respectfully when they saw a being. The being called 9 Peak Masters looked at the group of clansmen and nodded. Then he continued to fly in one direction. Nine Peak, is what you said true? After a while, in a palace, a terrifying being who had an aura superior to that of Nine Peak Masters asked. I saw it with my own eyes. Nine Peak Masters answered. If that's the case, that giant object is indeed a great opportunity. The being who released the terrifying aura of a Universe Supreme Master looked at Nine Peak Masters and said, You take Phone Kong Star River, and 5 Hun over there and take over that opportunity. Don't let the races from other universes get their hands on it. I'll report this to Purple Moon Master now and see if he has any instructions. I'll be there as soon as possible. Okay. The Master of the Nine Peaks responded and quickly left. At that moment, not only in Purple Moon Holy Land universe, but also universe masters who knew about the humanoid giant object told the Universe Supreme Masters in their miniature universes. 1 hour later. I heard something big happened in Universe Ocean. Do you know? I heard that a great opportunity has appeared. That's right, it seems to be a mysterious humanoid Yuzhou. It's even bigger than a miniature universe. No one knows where it came from. But it seems to have been taken over by the Purple Moon clan. Why? This great opportunity doesn't belong to their race. In Universe Ocean, great beings from all the miniature universes were discussing the humanoid giant object. In the human territory of the original universe. In Primal Chaos City leader and a group of universe masters surrounded Chu Bei respectfully. At this moment, the Primal Chaos City leader was telling Chu Bei about the humanoid behemoths he knew. Elder, what do you think about this? Primal Chaos City leader stared at Chu Bei, waiting for his instructions. A humanoid universe boat? That's interesting. Chu Bei stood up from his chair. He seemed to have thought of something, and there was a playful look on his face. Since all of you have decided that it is an opportunity, then I naturally have to provide a benefit for the human race. Chu Bei's lips curled into a smile. Elder, this opportunity has already been taken over by the guys from Purple Moon Holy Land. I heard that Purple Moon Holy Leader's power has already surpassed that of a Universe Supreme Master. It's so terrifying that it's unimaginable. Do you think I'll be afraid of this so-called Purple Moon Holy Leader? Chu Bei looked at the Universe Master who spoke, and his smile widened. That Universe Master seemed to have remembered something, and he was suddenly at a loss for words. Although Purple Moon Holy Leader was powerful, this protector of the human race had also killed 7 Universe Supreme Masters not long ago. Let's go. Follow me to take a look at this humanoid giant object. With a smile, Chu Bei's surroundings lit up with black light. Everyone, including Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City leader, instantly followed Chu Bei and disappeared. Teacher, is this Universe Ocean? In the blink of an eye, the scene in Luo Feng's sight changed drastically. A moment ago, it was still Primal Chaos City, and the next moment, it was all hazy. He looked around, and there was fog-like chaotic airflow everywhere, and the endless chaotic airflow produced overwhelming power. If it weren't for the chaotic light released by Chu Bei, the airflow in Universe Ocean alone would be enough to destroy his godly soul. Looking at the familiar Universe Ocean, all the Universe Masters, including Primal Chaos City leader, were shocked. Their faces were filled with astonishment, and they looked at Chu Bei with even more admiration. Chapter 601. There were 2 ways to get into Universe Ocean from the original universe. The first way was to enter the space mezzanine and teleport to the end of the space mezzanine, then penetrate the membrane wall of the endless universe. Although the membrane wall of the universe was hard, universe masters could still break through it. The second way was to leave the original universe through Toya Black Hole. Toya Black Hole was the most powerful black hole in the entire original universe. Its strong tearing and twisting force was destroying the membrane wall, so once you entered the black hole, you could go out directly. However, regardless of whether it was the first or the second way, even Universe Supreme Masters would need at least several hours to get out. If it were a Universe Master, it would take several days. Compared to the original universe, the miniature universes in Universe Ocean were much more convenient, as they didn't have the so-called space membrane wall. That was why when they saw Chu Bei leading them into Universe Ocean from the original universe, they were all shocked. Just this kind of supernatural power was already far above teacher origins. At the same time, on the other side, due to the arrival of the giant human-shaped object, the originally peaceful swirling water river suddenly became turbulent. Several giant spiral arms of water slapped the giant object, and every one of them was immeasurably powerful, but they couldn't do anything to the giant object. At that moment, the giant object was surrounded by countless great beings. The innermost layer was made up of the Purple Moon clan from Purple Moon Holy Land, and they were all releasing strong power to warn the other races. In Universe Ocean, the gazes of countless great beings were focused on the humanoid behemoth that was still moving slowly. Hong Long! At this moment, the humanoid colossus suddenly accelerated and mercilessly crashed into the swirling water river below at a terrifying speed. Right at that moment, the spiral arms of water with terrifying power were instantly shattered by the impact, and a large amount of water splashed far away in Universe Ocean. The islands that were originally floating in the swirling water river also exploded like eggs under the high-speed impact of this gigantic object. Look! It's completely stopped! All the great beings in the universe exclaimed. Xiao! Xiao! At this time, the powerful beings on the periphery began to approach the humanoid behemoth. The experts present were divided into different clans. Different clans had different appearances and were scattered in different directions. All of you, step back! Accompanied by a cold snort, the Purple Moon powerhouse in the innermost circle released a tyrannical aura that intimidated the other clans. Do you really think Purple Moon Holy Land is the overlord of Universe Ocean? This opportunity belongs to the entire Universe Ocean, not Purple Moon Holy Land. Almost at the same time, another voice filled with majesty rang out in Universe Ocean. Then, a green-robed elder appeared in the vision of all the great beings. That's the Ironwood progenitor of the Ironwood tribe. He actually came in person. Rumor has it that he once battled with the human race's ancestor. The battle lasted for 3 whole years before the victor was decided. I wonder if he has transcended the ranks of Universe Supreme Masters and stepped into that illusory higher realm. Hearing the voice, the gazes of the various clans gathered on the green-robed old man. After recognizing his identity and origin, all of them were astonished. Brother Ironwood is right. Does Purple Moon Holy Land want to be the enemy of all the clans in Universe Ocean? Although your Holy Land universe is powerful, don't be too arrogant. If you are the enemy of the entire universe, you won't have a good time. After Ironwood progenitor, a few more figures appeared in the vision of all the great beings. My God! Claywood progenitor, Sky Shock race progenitor, Ground Wind race progenitor. These Universe Supreme Masters that only appear once in 10,000 years are all here. That's great. With them here, we can also put pressure on Purple Moon Holy Land. Let them know that Universe Ocean doesn't belong to Purple Moon Holy Land alone. The more chaotic the situation is, the more likely it is for us to get a share of the pie. The great beings from various groups of powers looked at the great beings who appeared after Ironwood progenitor, and they were all shocked. What? Purple Moon Holy Land, aren't you going to step aside? Ironwood progenitor took the lead and stared at the great beings from Purple Moon Holy Land. A terrifying force poured out like a raging river. Pooh! 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 Instantly, the great beings from Purple Moon Holy Land turned pale, and they spat out blood. 9 Peaks, what should we do now? Star River Master and 5 Chaos Master from Purple Moon Holy Land looked at 9 Peaks Master and asked. Master Bai Ling should be here too. 9 Peaks Master glanced at Ironwood progenitor and frowned. If you still don't step aside, then don't blame me for not showing respect to Purple Moon Holy Land. Ironwood progenitor snorted, but just as he was about to force the great beings from Purple Moon Holy Land away, a great being who was as strong as him showed up in the distance. Ironwood, how dare you bully the juniors from my race? A voice filled with anger was heard, and then a giant palm hit Ironwood progenitor. Old Bai Ling, do you want to have a fight with me? Ironwood progenitor didn't even look at the palm. He clenched his fist and punched out. Hong! Long! There was a deafening sound, and where the fist and the palm hit, the terrifying origin law exploded. The terrifying aftershock knocked the great beings around away. On the other side of Universe Ocean. Senior, that's the direction of Swirling Water River. It seems that there are Universe Supreme Masters fighting there. A Universe Master looked at Chu Bei and said, That's where the giant human-shaped object is. Primal Chaos City Leader said, The battle must be in that area. I know what I'm doing. Chu Bei smiled and waved his hand again. He disappeared with Primal Chaos City Leader and the others. Above Swirling Water River. That's Elder Bai Ling from Purple Moon Holy Land. I heard that he's second only to Purple Moon Ancestor, and like Ironwood Progenitor, he's also a Pinnacle Universe Supreme Master. Is there going to be a life-or-death battle between Universe Supreme Masters? Is it still safe for us to stay here? Impossible. At their level, it's impossible for a life-or-death battle to happen. No one wants to die. After the great beings from various groups of powers stabilized themselves, they started to discuss. Master Bai Ling. A group of great beings from Purple Moon Holy Land bowed to the White Cave being right away. Old Bai Ling, don't tell me that you really dare to take this opportunity for yourself in front of so many clans? Not only Ironwood Progenitor, but also Kuiwood Progenitor, Sky Shaking Race Progenitor, Ground Wind Race Progenitor, and other Universe Supreme Masters all looked at Elder Bai Ling coldly. You must be joking. 100 Spirits Ancestor swept his gaze across the group of great beings. Purple Moon Ancestor said that as long as there is a Universe Supreme Master in the race, everyone is qualified to explore this behemoth. Just as Ancestor 100 Spirits' majestic and forceful voice drifted across Universe Ocean, the clamor in the area climbed to a higher level. What does that mean? If that's the case, it has nothing to do with our race. After all, our race doesn't have a Universe Supreme Master. That's right. Some miniature universes only have one Universe Supreme Master. What about the other races? Isn't this too unfair to us? Some great beings from different races protested. Chapter 602. That's a reasonable suggestion. In Universe Ocean, Ironwood Ancestor, Kueimu Ancestor, Shaking Sky Ancestor, Earth Wind Ancestor, and the other Universe Supreme Masters looked at each other after hearing 100 Spirits Ancestors' words. They nodded with satisfaction, and they all smiled. Indeed, these Universe Supreme Masters are just fighting for the benefit of their own race. They don't care about our races at all. Let's be more open-minded. This is a world where the strong prey on the weak. Those who are powerful have the right to speak. A group of races that did not have any Universe Supreme Masters holding down the fort looked extremely displeased. Although you're all qualified to send people in, the number of great beings who can enter is different. At this moment, Elder 100 Spirits from Purple Moon Holy Land spoke again. A race with a Universe Supreme Master can send 30 people, and if there are 2, it will be 60, and so on. Will Purple Moon Holy Land abide by this rule? Hearing 100 Spirits Ancestors' words, Ironwood Ancestor, Kueiwood Ancestor, Shaking Sky Ancestor, Earth Wind Ancestor, and the other Universe Supreme Masters all frowned. Of course not. 100 Spirits Ancestor said calmly. Purple Moon Holy Land doesn't have a limit. Why? Ironwood Ancestor, Kueimu Ancestor, Shaking Sky Ancestor, and Earth Wind Ancestor stared at 100 Spirits Ancestor. This is what I mean. Do you have any objections? Being able to let you join us is already the greatest gift we can give you. Before 100 Spirits Ancestor could say anything, a cold voice came from the direction of Purple Moon Holy Land. It was also at this moment that an incomparably huge figure appeared above the Purple Moon Holy Land. He was wrapped in a hazy purple aura and could not be seen clearly. It gave people a feeling that he was illusory. Do you think East Emperor Holy Land needs a limit? Just as that voice sounded, another powerful voice rang out, and there was a hint of laughter in that voice. The next moment, another gigantic being showed up above East Emperor Holy Land, and it was also hard to see his face. Who's the one who spoke? Purple Moon Holy Land Ancestor and East Emperor Holy Land Ancestor. The two most powerful beings in Universe Ocean. Rumor has it that they've surpassed the ranks of Universe Supreme Masters and stepped into a higher level. Around the humanoid behemoth, the experts from various clans looked at the two blurry figures above Purple Moon Holy Land and East Emperor Holy Land. Their faces were filled with astonishment as they discussed fervently. Hearing the East Emperor Ancestor's mocking words, the Purple Moon Ancestor snorted coldly and ignored him. Aren't you two Holy Lands being too arrogant? Are you looking down on us? Ironwood Ancestor's cold gaze swept past Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. He said, although the two of you have surpassed the ranks of Universe Supreme Masters and entered a higher level, I know that at that level, you are suppressed by the willpower of the primal universe origin. You can't roam Universe Ocean like us. You can only stay in your own little universes. In other words, so what if you're strong? In the end, they can only send out a Universe Supreme Master like Old Man Bai Ling. The Ironwood Primogenitor snorted coldly as he shouted angrily. Even if I can't leave the sacred ground, I can still suppress you with my divine sense. Accompanied by a cold voice, the huge hazy purple shadow above the Purple Moon Holy Land suddenly condensed into a huge purple palm print. Then, under the gazes of countless great beings, the purple palm print slapped out. It seemed to have pierced through the sky from Purple Moon Holy Land and appeared above Swirling Water River in an instant. Its target was Ironwood Ancestor. Looking at the sudden arrival of the huge purple palm with a terrifying force, Ironwood Ancestor's pupils shrank. Without hesitation, he condensed all the power in his body into his palm and slapped out with it. Hon Long! All of a sudden, a new space was formed where the two collided. In this space, the two giant palms hit each other, and two completely different powers of the origins intertwined, releasing a destructive energy storm. Hon Long! Finally, with an explosion, the energy from the purple palm print invaded the body of Ironwood Ancestor. Then, with a painful scream, Ironwood Ancestor's body exploded into a pile of minced meat. However, the minced meat quickly gathered together and turned back into Ironwood Ancestor. Damn it! The Ironwood progenitor steadied himself. His face was a little pale. After cursing fiercely, he looked at the Purple Moon progenitor with fear in his eyes. Not only Ironwood Ancestor, but also Koemu Ancestor, Shocking Sky Ancestor, Earthwind Ancestor, and the other Universe Supreme Masters all looked solemn. Is this the power of Purple Moon Ancestor? No wonder he's the supreme being who created Purple Moon Holy Land. Even if he doesn't show his true body, he can still defeat Ironwood Ancestor with his divine sense. As the founder of a holy land, East Emperor Ancestor must have the same power. The great beings who had witnessed the previous scene looked at the ancestors of the two holy lands again with fear in their eyes. Now, do you have any objections to what I said earlier? After a while, Purple Moon Ancestor's cold voice was heard again in Universe Ocean. However, this time, Ironwood Ancestor, Koemu Ancestor, Shocking Sky Ancestor, Earthwind Ancestor, and the other Universe Supreme Masters didn't dare to raise any objections. Very well! Since no one says anything, then regarding this mysterious object, I don't think it's appropriate. At least there's no limit to the number of people entering. However, just as Purple Moon Ancestor was halfway through his sentence, he was suddenly interrupted by a laughing voice. Almost at the same time, the great beings above Swirling Water River all looked shocked. They were all dumbfounded. Who's talking? How dare he refute Purple Moon Ancestor? Is he looking for death? Is he blind? Didn't he see how Purple Moon Ancestor defeated Pinnacle Universe Supreme Master Ironwood Ancestor with just a trace of his divine sense? The great beings from various powers all turned to look, and soon, a group of figures appeared in their sights. The leader was a young man in a purple robe. At that moment, the young man in the purple robe had his hands behind his back, and he looked calm and composed. Were they the ones talking just now? That's Primal Chaos City leader from the human race. Huh! Who's that young man in the purple robe? Primal Chaos City leader seems to be very respectful to him. Could it be that he is the founder of Hugh Jax? What a joke! Haven't you seen Hugh Jax from the human race? And I heard that Hugh Jax died in Tilted Peak Sector. It's him. The new Universe Supreme Master of the human race, the owner of All Heaven's shop. Oh no, to be precise, he's just a newly revealed Universe Supreme Master of the human race. In terms of power, he's even stronger than Hugh Jack's creator. Because not long ago, in a battle, he single-handedly killed 7 Universe Supreme Masters. What? 7 Universe Supreme Masters were killed. Is that true? The battle projection of him has already spread. I think it won't be long before you all see it. By then, you'll know whether I'm telling the truth or not. At that moment, all the great beings from various races looked at Chu Bei, guessing his identity. As for the great beings who had already seen Chu Bei's battle, they were all shocked. Human race? Who are you? Above Purple Moon Holy Land, Purple Moon Ancestor's cold voice floated over again, and there was a sharp murderous intent in his voice. I'm the owner of All Heaven's shop from the human race. Chu Bei looked indifferently in the direction of Purple Moon Holy Land. His voice was calm, and there was no fear in his eyes like the other Universe Supreme Masters. Chapter 603. Do you have a problem with my instructions? The Purple Moon Ancestor snorted coldly. Then, a violent aura surged from above the Purple Moon Holy Land. When it appeared above the swirling water river, it formed a sharp blade and stabbed towards Chu Bei. Ka-cha! However, this sharp blade hadn't even touched Chu Bei when it was minced into pieces by a strand of chaotic light, and it emanated a wave of clear and melodious sounds. Purple Moon Ancestor's attack was interrupted. Is that the owner of All Heaven's shop from the human race? He's really powerful. Does that mean he's more powerful than Ironwood Ancestor? After all, Ironwood Ancestor was defeated by Purple Moon Ancestor's godly spirit attack. I think the owner of All Heaven's shop is more powerful than Ironwood Ancestor, who can't kill 7 Universe Supreme Masters at once. How can that be? Ironwood Ancestor is already a pinnacle Universe Supreme Master. If he's more powerful than Ironwood Ancestor, doesn't that mean he's beyond the ranks of Universe Supreme Masters? That's right. As we all know, once a Universe Supreme Master surpasses the ranks of Universe Supreme Masters, he'll be suppressed by the original universe origin and can only stay in his own little universe, just like Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. Their true bodies can't travel around Universe Ocean. That means the owner of All Heaven's shop is also a Universe Supreme Master, and he's as powerful as Ironwood Ancestor. It's just that Purple Moon Ancestor didn't use as much power as Ironwood Ancestor. Seeing the blade formed by Purple Moon Ancestor's godly spirit get crushed by the chaotic light, great beings from various groups of powers were shocked. Ironwood Ancestor fixed his eyes on Chu Bei, and he couldn't believe it. He was thinking about something. You took it! You've really surprised me! Purple Moon Ancestor's voice came from Purple Moon Holy Land. Even Teacher Origin isn't as powerful as you. The human race is really good at hiding. As his cold voice fell, the huge purple-robed man above the Purple Moon Holy Land waved his hands, as if he was beginning to cast some kind of terrifying supreme magical power. Hong! Long! Even though they were separated by countless stars, they could still hear the soul-stirring rumble. In just a few seconds, a huge ball of light formed above the Purple Moon primogenitor. Upon closer inspection, one could see that there were actually 9 types of source laws flowing within the massive ball of light. The energy storm they brought about as they mixed together became more and more terrifying as time passed, causing one's heart to tremble. I've always hated cowards the most. However, before Purple Moon Ancestor could unleash the 9-colored ball of light, Chu Bei's indifferent voice reverberated throughout Universe Ocean. Then, under the gazes of countless experts, a terrifying chaos palm appeared out of nowhere above the swirling water river. There seemed to be black halos circling around every part of the giant palm. These halos were like terrifying black holes in the starry sky, carrying with them a destructive suction force. Chi! Before the powerhouses could react, the giant black palm had already disappeared. When he appeared again, he was already above the purple moon's sanctuary. Countless experts narrowed their eyes and stared at the giant black palm. Hong! The giant black palm slapped down directly toward the nine-colored ball of light above the purple moon primogenitor's head. The next moment, an explosion that shook the entire universe ocean lingered in the ears of countless experts. They witnessed with their own eyes that the nine-colored ball of light formed by the purple moon primogenitor was like a piece of tofu before the giant black palm. The moment it collided, it collapsed. After destroying the nine-colored light ball, the chaotic giant palm continued to press down. It went straight into Purple Moon Holy Land universe. Let me go! Immediately after, there was a terrified roar from the Purple Moon's sanctuary. The aura that burst out from the roar was terrifying. Unfortunately, before the aura could spread, it was swallowed up by the giant black palm. Rumble! The giant black palm left the Purple Moon's sanctuary. Compared to before, there was an additional man in a purple robe in the center of the palm. At that moment, one could vaguely see the purple-robed man's twisted expression. He seemed to be in extreme pain. That's the Purple Moon primogenitor. He's been detained by the owner of All Heaven's shop. My God! If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. This owner of All Heaven's shop is already so powerful. Even Purple Moon primogenitor isn't his match. With such power, he must have surpassed Universe Supreme Masters. With him around, the human race is the true #1 race in Universe Ocean. Looking at the purple-robed man in the giant black palm, the great beings from various races were dazed at first. After recognizing the purple-robed man, their mouths were wide open, and their expressions froze. How could it be? He actually managed to ascend to a higher realm. Why isn't he suppressed by the original universe origin? Ironwood Ancestor, Kuewood Ancestor, Shocking Sky Ancestor, Earthwind Ancestor, and the other Universe Supreme Masters looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with shock and confusion. Mr. Ancestor is detained. This is impossible. No matter how talented that owner of All Heaven's shop is, he's only cultivated for one universe era. How could he be more powerful than Mr. Ancestor? After witnessing this scene, the great beings from Purple Moon Holy Land all changed their expressions. They were like ordinary people who had been struck by a bolt from the blue, or they were doused with cold water from head to toe. Their entire bodies went numb. Above East Emperor Holy Land Universe, the enormous blurry figure trembled, and for a moment, there were huge fluctuations in the aura. Apparently, East Emperor Ancestor was also shocked by this sudden and unexpected result, and he was caught off guard. At that moment, the eyes of all the great beings in Universe Ocean were focused on the chaotic giant palm that was grabbing Purple Moon Ancestor. All of them were dumbfounded and gasping. They were at a loss for what to do. They were as dazed as lightning, and they looked like clay statues. Elder! He defeated one of the two greatest beings in Universe Ocean. All the Universe Masters, including Primal Chaos City Leader, were stunned. Their brains seemed to have lost the ability to think. Each and every one of them stood there motionless like a block of wood, staring blankly at Chu Bei's back with a look of adoration. Chi! All of a sudden, the giant chaotic palm disappeared from above Purple Moon Holy Land Universe, and went back to above Swirling Water River. No! Let me go back! Almost at the same time, Purple Moon Primogenitor shouted anxiously. His voice was filled with terror and fear. Just as he finished speaking, the entire Universe Ocean was suddenly filled with an ear-piercing buzzing sound that filled every star sector. It was as if it was everywhere. After a short while, Universe Ocean was in a riot, and strange light of laws appeared out of nowhere. The light of laws gathered together, and started to form a river of laws. It gathered from all directions and rushed toward the sky above Swirling Water River. Or rather, it was going toward the giant chaotic palm. To be more precise, its target was Purple Moon Primogenitor, who was at the center of the giant palm. Fire law, water law, earth law, thunder law, space law, my God! What the hell is that? It's controlling all the power of laws. Some great beings looked at the river of laws in shock and exclaimed. Chapter 604. Could that be the original universe origin? Purple Moon Ancestor left his own universe, so that's why it came out. Even if it's not the original universe origin, it must have an inseparable connection with it. Countless great beings looked at the river of laws and were stunned at first, but then they reacted quickly. Voila! The river of laws was surging, and layers of waves were crashing toward the huge black palm. Let me go! Let me go back! Looking at the approaching river of laws, Purple Moon Ancestor's expression became more and more fearful. However, no matter how many supreme techniques he used, he couldn't break free from the restraints of the huge chaotic palm. That huge chaotic palm didn't seem to have much energy waves, but it was like a black hole with endless swallowing power, binding him tightly. No! No! Finally, Purple Moon Ancestor gave up struggling. His face was full of unwillingness and helplessness. He looked at Chu Bei with eyes full of hatred. At this point, even if he broke free, it was too late. He could only let the original universe origin suppress him. However, just as he was about to receive the suppression of the river of laws, the huge chaotic palm that was binding him suddenly expanded rapidly. Are you trying to snatch someone from me? Suddenly, Chu Bei's calm voice sounded in the ears of countless great beings, as if he was speaking to the river of laws. The moment he finished speaking, tens of thousands of black light balls appeared around the huge chaotic palm. Chi. In an instant, these black light balls shot out with the huge palm as the center. Voila! The surging river of laws brought with it massive tornadoes of laws. They carried with them the power to destroy the heavens and earth as they wrapped around the black balls of light, as if to purify them. These black light balls seemed to have been provoked, and they started to expand one after another. Then, as if transforming into black holes, they crazily swallowed the river of laws that contained all kinds of origin powers. Long. The two forces intertwined, bringing about continuous explosions. My God! Is the owner of all heaven's shop rebelling against the power of the original universe origin? Do you remember the strongest great being of the human race, Teacher Origin? Of course. Wasn't he suppressed by the original universe origin? Is the owner of all heaven's shop rebelling against the original universe origin and releasing him? How is that possible? The primal universe origin is even more powerful than Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. The way I see it, if this owner of all heaven's shop really angers the primal universe origin, I'm afraid he'll end up like Teacher Origin and be suppressed forever. Around swirling water river, countless powerhouses looked at the intertwining scene of the river of law and the black ball of light above with astonishment. Just as the two forces reached a stalemate, a grayish-black spiral fruit appeared behind Chu Bei. The whorled fruit rotated and released tens of thousands of black rays of light. Each ray of light was connected to the black balls of light in the river of laws. Suddenly, the devouring power contained in the black light balls skyrocketed to a higher level. It was also at this moment that the stalemate between the two forces was broken. Crash! A large number of whirlpools appeared in the surging river of laws, and the source of these whirlpools was the black balls of light that had skyrocketed with devouring power. Not long after, the river of laws split into nearly 10,000 streams, which were all devoured by these black vortices at the same time. The attack from the primal universe origin has been neutralized. My God! This owner of all heaven's shop from the human race is crazy. How are the realms above universe supreme masters divided? What realm is he at now? Looking at the disappearing river of laws above them, the group of great beings was stunned again, unable to regain their senses. Ever since this owner of all heaven's shop from the human race had arrived, they had been shocked again and again. It disappeared. Purple Moon Ancestor, who had witnessed all this, let out a long sigh. His entire strength seemed to have been sucked out. Do you think I still need to listen to your instructions now? Chu Bei put his hands behind his back and looked calmly at Purple Moon Ancestor. Just as he finished speaking, Primal Chaos Giant clenched his fist, and with a loud explosion, Purple Moon Ancestor exploded again. Fortunately, his godly soul was not destroyed, and he was able to reconstruct his body immediately. However, in the previous explosion, the devouring power had invaded his godly soul. Vaguely, he had a feeling that if the owner of all heaven's shop wanted to, the devouring power would instantly annihilate his godly soul, and he would truly disappear from Universe Ocean. For this reason, after hearing Chu Bei's teasing words, Purple Moon Ancestor did not dare to show any disrespect. He did not linger and immediately returned to Purple Moon Holy Land Universe, not daring to say another word. Above East Emperor Holy Land Universe, East Emperor Ancestor was also silent. His huge eyes were filled with fear for Chu Bei. As for Ironwood Ancestor, Kuei-Mu Ancestor, Shaking Sky Ancestor, and Earth Wind Ancestor, these Universe Supreme Masters, they did not dare to speak. When Chu Bei's gaze swept past them, they instinctively lowered their heads out of fear. Are you all curious as to why I am not suppressed by the so-called primal universe origin? Chu Bei's smiling voice floated in Universe Ocean. Hearing Chu Bei's words, all the great beings, including Purple Moon Ancestor, East Emperor Ancestor, and all the Universe Supreme Masters, pricked up their ears. Their faces were filled with curiosity, confusion, and anticipation. Because I do not belong to this part of Universe Ocean. Chu Bei glanced at the great beings. And when your power reaches a certain level, you can directly wipe out the so-called primal universe origin, not to mention being suppressed. What? The owner of all heaven's shop does not belong to Universe Ocean. How is that possible? Then where did he come from? Wipe out the universe origin? Who can do that? That is equivalent to being the master of Universe Ocean. Hearing Chu Bei's words, countless great beings were horrified. Chu Bei's words seemed to have completely shattered their perceptions. The primal universe origin was the master of Universe Ocean. This had become a deep-rooted thought in their minds. However, they did not expect that one day, someone would say that he could wipe out the primal universe origin. If an ordinary person had said this, they would have snorted and treated it as a big joke. However, the person who said this was the mysterious Supreme Being who had easily suppressed Purple Moon Ancestor and destroyed the attack of the primal universe origin. The Universe Supreme Masters that you all know can also be called true gods. Above them are true gods of void space. After saying this, Chu Bei looked at Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. He smiled and said, "You two are not unfamiliar with this level, right?" Chapter 605. Hearing Chu Bei's words, Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor didn't say anything, but they nodded in response. If a true god of void space makes another breakthrough, he'll become an eternal true god. In Universe Ocean, Chu Bei continued to talk about the realms above Universe Supreme Masters, and his voice reverberated throughout Universe Ocean. Above true god of void space is eternal true god. Could eternal true god be the end? Ironwood Ancestor couldn't help but ask, looking at Chu Bei with great respect. Chu Bei looked at Ironwood Ancestor and shook his head. According to your cultivation system, eternal true gods can be called masters of chaos if they make another breakthrough. Above masters are godly kings. What about those above godly kings? Is there anything else? Ironwood Ancestor took a deep breath and asked subconsciously. Of course there is, Chu Bei said indifferently. Then what realm are you at now? Eternal true god? Just as Ironwood Ancestor asked this question, countless great beings who were already looking at Chu Bei became even more focused. They all held their breaths, and there was curiosity in their eyes. However, Chu Bei only smiled at this question and didn't give an answer. With only the current level of Little Black's power, his battle prowess was equivalent to that of a third heaven celestial king, which meant that he was the universe supreme master of this swallowing galaxy dimension, a so-called true god. As for Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor, these two peak true gods of void space, their abilities were roughly equivalent to that of a sixth heaven celestial king. At this moment, he was still in the state of the power of reputation, and his battle power was equivalent to a ninth heaven celestial king, so he could easily defeat Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. As for eternal true gods, their corresponding realms were 7 to 9 heaven celestial kings. Senior, how are you going to distribute this opportunity? At this moment, a universe supreme master asked tentatively. As this voice sounded, countless great beings' attention was focused on the human-shaped giant in front of them again. At the same time, all of them waited quietly for Chu Bei to speak. Before this opportunity belonged to the two Holy Land universes, but after Chu Bei revealed his power, it naturally belonged to the human race. Buzz, buzz, buzz. But before Chu Bei could say anything, a rumble resounded through the starry sky. In the next moment, 3 white-robed figures appeared above the humanoid behemoth. They stood side by side, their white robes faintly emitting colorful light. At the same time, an irresistible pressure emanated from each of the 3 ancestral gods, spreading in all directions. Behind the 3 white-robed figures, palaces could be vaguely seen floating, followed by a large number of powerhouses. What a powerful pressure! Who are they? This force has already surpassed that of a universe supreme master. Could it be that they are also void real gods? No, they are the representatives of the willpower of the primal universe origin. Their coercion is also bestowed upon them by the primal universe origin. What? The representative of the primal universe origin. After a universe supreme master revealed the identities of the 3 white-robed figures, countless great beings were shocked. Primal Chaos City leader and the group of great beings from the human race looked at the 3 figures with hostility. This was because Teacher Origin was suppressed by the primal universe origin. Why are they here? Could it be because the owner of All Heaven's shop resolved the attack of the primal universe origin? Or are they here for this humanoid behemoth? No need to guess. We'll find out soon enough. All the great beings cast their eyes on the 3 white-robed figures, frowning. 3 reincarnation eras, 2 holy lands. I didn't expect all the powers to be here. One of the representatives of the 3 universe origins glanced at the great beings and said slowly, "This time, the 3 of us entered Universe Ocean on the order of the willpower of the primal universe origin. We are here specifically for this behemoth." As he spoke, he extended his hand and pointed at the giant humanoid behemoth below. Indeed, even the primal universe origin has been alerted. Where did it come from? Countless great beings exclaimed when they heard what the white-robed figure said. You can think of it as a miniature universe, and its name is World of Gene. One of the representatives said. Miniature universe? World of Gene? What kind of being is this? What is inside? All the great beings of the universe looked at each other with confusion in their eyes. World of Gene is mysterious and unpredictable. One of the representatives said. Not only are there living creatures, but there are also cultivation methods that can lead to a higher realm beyond universe supreme masters. A spokesperson said calmly. Hua! All the great beings were in an uproar, especially Ironwood Ancestor, Kuewood Ancestor, Shaking Sky Ancestor, Earthwind Ancestor, and the other universe supreme masters were the most excited. Cultivation methods beyond universe supreme masters. Wasn't this what they desired the most? Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor above Purple Moon Holy Land Universe were also moved. Their auras fluctuated. They also desired a breakthrough. Especially after witnessing Chu Bei's power, they wanted to enter the eternal true God realm even more. Where did this world of Gene come from? Why did it suddenly appear? A universe supreme master asked. At this time, all the great beings looked back at the 3 representatives. Apparently, they were all confused. It was led here by the willpower of the primal universe origin, one of the representatives said. It was led here from the unknown depths of universe ocean. What? From the unknown depths of universe ocean to here? Countless great beings were in an uproar when they heard that. Even Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor were shocked. This giant object flew here from the unknown depths of universe ocean, and it was led here by the willpower of the primal universe origin. If these words hadn't come from the representatives of the primal universe origin, they wouldn't have believed them so easily. Even the primal universe origin still follows the operating rules, another representative said. When disaster strikes, it will seek a chance of survival for all life forms. One of the representatives continued, and this world of Gene is the chance of survival for all living creatures from all the powers in universe ocean. Disaster strikes? What do you mean? These words touched the nerves of the great beings from all the powers. All the great beings from the 3 universe eras and the 2 Holy Land universes stared at the 3 white-caped beings. They were questioning them. The primal universe gives birth to everything and all living creatures. In this vast world, everything has 2 sides. If there's a primal universe that gives birth to everything, there's also an existence that destroys everything. The 3 white-caped beings glanced at the great beings from all the powers. This existence is called the Sector Beast. Sector Beast? The primal universe that gives birth to everything and all living creatures? And the Sector Beast that destroys everything? Is this true? Why haven't I heard of its existence? At this moment, all the great beings were stunned by this news. They were all in a daze, and their eyes were filled with suspicion. When they heard the words, Sector Beast, no one was more emotional than Purple Moon Ancestor from Purple Moon Holy Land Universe and East Emperor Ancestor from East Emperor Holy Land Universe. At this moment, their expressions were clearly filled with fear and nervousness. It was as if they were about to face a calamity that even they felt terrified of. Chapter 606. Sector Beasts are the most terrifying creatures in the entire universe ocean. It's the opposite of the original universe, and every time a Sector Beast is born, a Sector Beast is born, and every time a Sector Beast is born, it's a catastrophe, a spokesperson said. Why are there only 2 Holy Land universes in the entire universe ocean after so many eras? Because the previous Holy Land universes were all destroyed by the Sector Beasts. When they're born, they'll destroy all the universes. Not only the Holy Land universes, but also the miniature universes and even the original universe. What? Even the original universe can't escape? Countless great beings were shocked. When all the universes are destroyed, the creatures in them will go extinct too, the spokesperson continued. But unlike the Holy Land universes and miniature universes, the original universe will become the origin after it's destroyed. After time, it'll evolve into the original universe and give birth to new creatures. But by then, we won't be here anymore. What does the new original universe have to do with us? A great being from the original universe said. So, the appearance of the Sector Beasts puts you on the same side as the original universe. When the original universe is destroyed, you'll go extinct too. Hence, the primal universe origin needs all of you to kill the Sector Beast together. The voice of the white-robed representative resounded throughout the vast universe. When will the Sector Beasts arrive? The Ironwood Ancestor furrowed his brows and couldn't help but ask. The original universe didn't specify that, the spokesperson said. Maybe 3 days, maybe 3 years, or maybe they're already on their way. And this world of Gene can help you improve your power, and you'll have supreme treasures to destroy the Sector Beasts. At this point, the spokesperson looked at Chubei. As for your previous disrespect to the primal universe origin, it has already forgiven you. It also told us to send you a message that if you kill all the Sector Beasts for it, it'll send you to the land of origin deep in universe ocean. That place can make you even stronger. The land of origin deep in universe ocean? What's that place? Is it the Chaos Master and Godly King he mentioned? Does that mean the original universe is going to cooperate with the master of all heaven's shop? All the great beings in Universe Ocean were talking about it. What right does it have to forgive me? Chu Bei looked at the three spokespersons mockingly. How dare you? How dare you look down on the primal universe origin? Hearing Chu Bei's words, the three white-robed spokespersons immediately frowned. After letting out a cold snort, they released an unparalleled pressure toward Chu Bei to suppress him. Chu Bei's expression gradually turned cold in the face of the three terrifying forces that carried the universe origin. Even if the primal universe origin that you speak of personally came, I wouldn't take it seriously, let alone the three of you. Then, as his gaze focused, a loud bang rang out, and the three terrifying pressures collapsed. The next moment, the three universe origin representatives dressed in white robes were sent flying as though they had been hit hard by something they couldn't resist. Just as their bodies were about to explode, a colorful mist enveloped them, successfully dispelling the terrifying energy in their eyes. Even so, the auras of the three white-robed spokespersons had become extremely weak. After they stabilized themselves, they immediately bowed deeply to the colorful mist and said respectfully, Greetings, Lord Origin of the Universe. What? That's the primal universe origin? The great beings from various groups of powers who had witnessed this scene all focused their gazes on the colorful mist, and they were all shocked and in disbelief. With their power, they could feel that the colorful mist contained the power of laws of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, time, space, and other laws, and it was constantly emitting endless pressure. This pressure far surpassed that of a universe supreme master, and it was also above that of two true gods of void space, Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. Long, long, long! Suddenly, the colorful mist shook, and there was a roaring sound. Strands of colorful silk penetrated into the bodies of the three spokespersons. After a short while, the three spokespersons seemed to have received some instructions, and they immediately looked at Chu Bei. Lord Origin of the Universe wants us to pass on a message. It has no intention of being your enemy. It just hopes that you can help it get rid of the Sector Beast. As for the reward, if you have any requests, it will try its best to satisfy you. The death of Hugh Jack's creator of the human race is related to the Sector Beast. After experiencing how terrifying Chu Bei was, the three spokespersons were obviously more respectful when facing Chu Bei again. Their eyes were filled with intense fear. So the death of Hugh Jack's predecessor was caused by the Sector Beast. After hearing what the spokespersons said, the great beings, including Primal Chaos City Leader, were all shocked. Chu Bei's emotions didn't change at all. He calmly looked at the purple mist and said, As for the Sector Beast, if it threatens the human race, I won't just stand by and do nothing. However, right now, I do need you to do one thing. Release that little fellow that you've been suppressing. One. The colorful mist seemed to understand what Chu Bei meant, and there was a strange sound again. However, this time, there was a distorted space wormhole in front of it, and a blurry figure slowly emerged from the wormhole. Gradually, the figure became clear. It was an elder in a gray robe. Where he stood, time and space seemed to be affected. Everything became peaceful and quiet. After seeing the elder's face, Primal Chaos City Leader trembled, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Master! Primal Chaos City Leader took a step forward and teleported in front of the gray-robed elder. He immediately knelt down, tears streaming down his face. He had been waiting for this moment for too long. To him, Teacher Origin was both his master and his father. Because he had to protect the situation that Teacher Origin had created, Primal Chaos City Leader had been cautious and conscientious. He hadn't dared to relax at all, and had carefully managed the entire human race. That's Master Teacher Origin. He's been released. That's great. That's great. In the sea of stars, the other great beings of the human race also recognized the gray-robed elder. They all knelt down respectfully. If Hugh Jack's creator was the guardian of the human race's prosperity, Then Teacher Origin was the founder of the human race's rise. As for Chu Bei, he was the founder of the human race's glory. Get up! Don't be a child! Teacher Origin was stunned. Then he smiled and helped Primal Chaos up. Okay! Primal Chaos answered loudly and got up. Thank you for saving me, Senior! Teacher Origin looked at Chu Bei and clasped his hands. His eyes were filled with gratitude. Although I was suppressed by the original universe Origin, the virtual universe that I left behind in the human race territory is a part of my ideology. For this reason, I know everything that you have done for the human race. When facing Chu Bei, Teacher Origin was unusually respectful. He was already half a step into the true God of void space level, and that was why he knew how difficult it was to make a breakthrough. He didn't think that the owner of All Heaven's shop was someone from their reincarnation era. In his opinion, this person must have been born before the two Holy Land universes. Chapter 607. Hua! La! Above swirling water river, the colorful mist representing the origin of the original universe trembled, and the sound of rushing water came out again. 3 representatives in white robes were wrapped in colorful light, and they seemed to be listening to what the origin of the original universe was saying. They looked very respectful. After a while, one of the representatives said, "What the great origin of the universe means is, for safety's sake, you'd better not wait for the sector beasts to come before you fight back. Instead, you should take the initiative to attack and kill them in the cradle." Take the initiative to attack? Ironwood Ancestor frowned. Sector beasts will kill and eat each other. Although the number of sector beasts will keep decreasing, after eating other sector beasts, their power will become stronger and stronger. If all the sector beasts die, and only one sector beast is left, then that sector beast will truly represent destruction. The representative continued to say. How powerful are the ordinary sector beasts? Ironwood Ancestor asked. A newly born sector beast is usually at the level of a universe knight. As it keeps eating, it'll reach the level of a universe master, a universe supreme master, or even stronger. The white-robed representative glanced at the great beings of the various races. In other words, any cultivator below the level of a universe master will be courting death when facing any sector beast. A universe knight at birth? That's terrifying! After hearing what the white-robed representative said, the great beings present were in an uproar. Now that the sector beasts have come out, the sooner we deal with them, the better. Once those sector beasts kill and eat each other, and only one is left, the Holy Land universe, miniature universe, and even the original universe will cease to exist. The great beings of the various races looked at each other, and finally, a powerful voice was heard. Then where is this sector beast? The white-robed representative pointed in one direction. The core area of Tilted Peak Sector, the Land of Darkness. What? That's one of the 3 most dangerous lands in Universe Ocean. And the most dangerous one, the Land of Darkness. Not to mention the core area, even the outer perimeter is filled with danger. Didn't the human race's huge axe creator just die in the Land of Darkness? He's a pinnacle universe supreme master. Even he died there. If we go there, we'll die even more thoroughly. No wonder we can't get out of the Land of Darkness. It's the nest of the sector beasts. In Universe Ocean, all the great beings were stunned when they heard the white-robed representative announce the location. Shock and astonishment were written all over their faces. Every time you kill a sector beast, you'll get a sector beast imprint. The sector beast imprint could be divided into different levels according to the power of the sector beasts killed. When this crisis is resolved, I will give you different opportunities according to the situation of the sector beasts you have killed. Universe masters can use it to become true gods can use it to become true gods of void space, and true gods of void space can become eternal true gods. At that moment, the colorful mist that represented the origin of the primal universe trembled. 2 beams of colorful light enveloped Purple Moon Holy Land Universe and East Emperor Holy Land Universe. You 2 can come out now. We are on the same side. The sector beasts are our common enemy. At this moment, a stream of information flowed into the minds of countless experts, including Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. As long as we kill enough, it will help us break through. The information flow of the primal universe origin appeared in his mind. Ironwood Ancestor, Shaking Sky Ancestor, and the other universe supreme masters were all tempted. Not only them, but all the great beings present, including Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor, were tempted. At their level, what they pursued was nothing more than a higher level. The reason why they still explored the three lands of extremists was that they wanted to find opportunities to break through, but the possibility of finding opportunities was very slim. However, even if they knew this, there were still countless powerhouses who did not fear death and tried. And now, the origin of the primal universe was telling them that as long as they killed enough sector beasts, it could help them break through the bottleneck. How could they not be tempted? Another group of fellows who have been tricked. At the same time, in an inconspicuous corner of the crowd, a man in a green robe sighed. He was the mysterious great being sitting mountain guest, who was famous even in Universe Ocean. I'll leave the rest to you. As for the world of Gene, it will be your final destination after you are defeated. Of course, it may only be able to accommodate 1/10,000th of the creatures in Universe Ocean, or even less. The information of the origin of the primal universe appeared in the minds of countless great beings again. The next moment, the colorful mist disappeared. Then, the three white-robed spokespersons and the palaces behind them gradually disappeared as well. After the origin of the primal universe and the spokespersons left, the surroundings of swirling water river fell into silence. After a long time, Ironwood Ancestor looked at Chu Bei and saw that he had no intention of expressing his opinion, so he said, "Since we're all here, why don't we go to Tilted Peak Sector together?" "Yes." The other ancestors nodded. Tilted Peak Sector is, after all, one of the three lands of extremists. We can look out for each other if we go together. The universe masters of various races looked at each other and expressed their agreement one after another. Hong! Long! At that moment, a godly rainbow streaked across the sky above Purple Moon Holy Land Universe and East Emperor Holy Land Universe. They were heading in the direction of Tilted Peak Sector. Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor have gone. Let's go. Let's follow them. Against the sector beasts, we'll be on the same side as them. Follow them closely, and the danger will be minimized. After recognizing the two godly rainbows, the great beings who were universe masters and above quickly left. Of course, there were also great beings from many races who didn't move immediately. Instead, they looked at Chu Bei as if they were observing where he was going. Teacher, Hugh Jack's creator died at the hands of the sector beasts. Shall we go now? Primal Chaos City leader looked at Teacher Origin and asked. Teacher Origin didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at Chu Bei as if he was waiting for his answer. I'm here. Don't worry. Chu Bei looked at Teacher Origin and nodded. He was very calm. After hearing Chu Bei's words, Teacher Origin, Primal Chaos City leader, and the other universe masters all flew toward Tilted Peak Sector. Universe Ocean, one of the three lands of extremists, Tilted Peak Sector. In the core region, the land of darkness. Hua! 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 In this dark world, there was black mist surging. The deeper one went, the stronger the aura of the black mist was. In the darkness, streaks of black light lit up from time to time. Roaring sounds of battle could be heard all the time, as well as creepy screams that made one's heart palpitate. Upon closer inspection, one could see that there were countless ugly monsters fighting each other in every area. These ugly monsters were extremely huge, and their entire bodies were emitting black light. They had two ferocious heads, and each head had a single eye, a nose, a mouth, and two sharp claws. They looked extremely ferocious, and all of them were emitting a monstrous evil aura. Chapter 608. Is that the land of darkness? In the core area of Tilted Peak Sector, after Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor stopped, the other universe great beings also stopped flying. Tilted Peak Sector was indeed one of the 3 lands of extremis in Universe Ocean. During the process of flying to the core area, they'd encountered several terrifying dark energy storms. Even the weakest one wasn't something ordinary universe masters could withstand. Fortunately, they were all following Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor, and those energy storms were annihilated by the 2 true gods of void space. At that moment, in front of them was an endless dark world. Vaguely, they could see countless floating mountains in this dark world. The biggest characteristic of these mountains was that they were bare, without any vitality, and they emitted a dark and gloomy aura. Buzz! 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 All of a sudden, red light beams shot out from every mountain in this dark world. There were tens of thousands of them. Then a group of black, ugly monsters walked out of the mountains and approached the army of Universe Ocean. The so-called red light beam was nothing more than the light in their eyes. Are these sector beasts? As expected, they were fighting each other before. However, after we arrived, they started to target us. Looking at the black mass approaching, countless great beings frowned, and their forces started to rise. They were ready to fight. Rumble! 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 The army of sector beasts started to move faster, and they started to make weird sounds. At the same time, they started to spit out frightening black flames. Pun! Purple Moon Ancestor was the first to make a move, and he slapped with his palm. Then, accompanied by a booming sound, the first batch of sector beasts that had arrived exploded. At that moment, several beams of red light surrounded Purple Moon Ancestor, and the number corresponded to the number of dead sector beasts. Is that the sector beast imprint that the original universe origin mentioned? Looking at the red bloody light that was dancing around, some Universe Supreme Masters exclaimed in shock. Kill! After roughly estimating the power of those sector beasts, all the universe great beings shouted and rushed into the army of sector beasts like godly rainbows. Within a few breaths, all the universe great beings started to fight each other. Master, look over there! At that moment, Luo Feng noticed Sitting Mountain Guest. He pulled Chu Bei's clothes and pointed in Sitting Mountain Guest's direction. Chu Bei rubbed Luo Feng's head, then looked at Sitting Mountain Guest and smiled indifferently as a greeting. Master, do you and that person know each other from before? Luo Feng seemed to have noticed the strange look in the eyes of Sitting Mountain Guest and Chu Bei, so he asked tentatively. Chu Bei shook his head and said with a smile, I don't know him. It's just that he hides too many secrets, so I can't help but take a few more glances. Pum. 90% of the sector beasts in the periphery were equivalent to universe masters. Because of this, they were like ants in front of the great beings from Universe Ocean who were led by Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. In the depths of the Land of Dusk, in a withered mountain, a giant sector beast with a golden crown let out a roar that was filled with anger and unwillingness. Black blood flowed out of its black skin, and there were dozens of wounds on its body. As it roared, it opened its mouth and extended its tongue. Like a huge stream of light, it swept through its entire body and quickly licked every wound. The blood that flowed out of its wounds was all sucked dry, and its wounds quickly healed and clotted. Bei Di, I'm the last king. The giant sector beast growled unwillingly. When I swallow some more powerful fellows and make a breakthrough, I'll eat you. Huh! There's an invasion from another race. I haven't had a change in a long time. This giant sector beast was called Morosa, and it was one of the overlords of the sector beasts. At that moment, it seemed to have noticed something, and its eyes were bloodthirsty. After a short while, it made a strange sound, as if it was calling for something. Hua! Instantly, 2 streaks of light showed up in front of this giant sector beast. Honorable King, why did you call us here? 2 beings knelt down in front of Morosa, and they looked very respectful. If there were great beings from Universe Ocean there, they would be able to recognize these 2 beings. One was a Universe Supreme Master from the First Universe Era, Xinjia Emperor, and the other was a Universe Supreme Master from the Second Universe Era, Dragon Rock Ancestral God. These invaders, like you, were born in the original universe? Morosa looked down at Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God. It waved its claws and projected an image. It showed the scene of the army from Universe Ocean fighting the army of Sector Beasts. After that, Morosa changed from an ugly monster to a tall, human-shaped creature with a giant tail. Apparently, it was imitating some of the characteristics of Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God. That's Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. Tai Mu, Jintian, and Teacher Origin are here too. Why are they here? Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God were stunned when they saw what was happening. Seems like the original Universe Origin sensed that we're going to do it harm, so it sent these guys here. Morosa sneered. They can only deal with the little guys who were born not long ago. In our eyes, they're the most delicious food. Then, Morosa licked its lips greedily. The two guys leading the team are already true gods of void space. It must taste even better than the human called Huge Axe Founder that I ate before. As soon as it finished speaking, Morosa's body flickered, and it suddenly disappeared. Follow it. Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God glanced at each other before disappearing from the mountain. Outside the land of darkness, the fierce fighting was still going on. On the battlefield, Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor were like two killing gods. They could kill a group of Sector Beasts with every move they made. As time went by, the Sector Beasts sensed how terrifying those two were, so they started to leave and attack other great beings from Universe Ocean. Not only Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor, but universe-level great beings like Teacher Origin, Tai Mu Ancestor, and Jintian Ancestor didn't attack first. Hong! Long! Amidst the continuous explosions, countless Sector Beasts were killed, and more Sector Beast marks appeared around the great beings of the universe. Hong! Hong! However, at this moment, the Sector Beast that was still fighting suddenly let out a cry. The cry seemed to be filled with fear. The next moment, all the Sector Beasts stopped fighting at the same time. They all flew into the distance and hid in a corner, shivering. What's wrong with them? Noticing the sudden change, great beings from all over the universe spoke one after another. Their eyes were filled with confusion. Chapter 609. Chi. The army of Sector Beasts spread out far away. Strange, low cries could be heard coming from their mouths. There was fear in their cries. After a short while, there was a huge explosion, and chaos airflow spread in the space. There was a black fog in the endless chaos airflow, and a tall figure appeared in the middle of the black fog. It was Sector Beast Morosa. It looks like delicious food. Morosa glanced at all the great beings from Universe Ocean and licked its lips greedily. Judging from its expression, it seemed as if all the great beings in Universe Ocean were its prey. At that moment, all the great beings, including Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor, steadied themselves and looked at Morosa with vigilance. Just the aura that the other party unintentionally released was enough to make them feel pressured. If the auras of the Sector Beasts they had fought before were like streams, then the auras of the Sector Beast in front of them were like torrential rivers. It's Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God. They're not dead. And it looks like they've become servants of that Sector Beast. What level is this Sector Beast at? Soon, Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God showed up behind Morosa. Witnessing this scene, the expressions of the great beings from Universe Ocean changed. You two are the strongest creatures in Universe Ocean, aren't you? Morosa stared at the Purple Moon Ancestor and the East Emperor Ancestor. As his cold voice faded, terrifying black rays of light began to circulate around his huge body. At the next moment, he opened his mouth abruptly without any warning. However, there was no roar, only a series of ripples. The ripples turned into spears and pierced the souls of Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. At the same time, Morosa disappeared. It turned into two balls of black light, and appeared in front of Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. The Purple Moon Ancestor and the East Emperor Ancestor seemed to have sensed danger. Their pupils suddenly shrank, and without any hesitation, their tense bodies immediately exploded with the most terrifying power. Following that, both of them converged their divine power into their fists and punched out. Hong! Accompanied by two heaven-shaking explosions, the space immediately fell into a terrifying deathly silence. At the point of collision, two incomparably enormous balls of light were formed. Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor could be seen in the light balls. Suddenly, layers of aftershocks spread out, and in the blink of an eye, they spread to the entire battlefield. These layers of aftershocks seemed to be able to attack people's souls directly. Regardless of whether it was the great beings from Universe Ocean or the sector beasts who only had the power of a universe master, their expressions became extremely painful and distorted. Just as countless experts were doing their best to resist the aftershock of the attack, there were two more explosions. Then, in their line of sight, a figure flew out from each of the two balls of light. His aura was extremely chaotic. Purple Moon Primogenitor and East Emperor Primogenitor are injured. Looking at the resplendent drops of blood falling from the sky, the expressions of the great beings from Universe Ocean changed drastically. Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor stabilized their bodies. After suppressing the chaotic aura, they started to heal the wounds on their bodies. Eternal True God! Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor frowned when they looked at Morosa again. I didn't expect the two of you to actually take it. The two balls of black light merged and turned back into Morosa. With a hint of surprise in his eyes, Morosa said, "The little guy you called Hugh Jack's creator was killed by this attack." What? Hugh Jack's creator of the human race was killed by it. I'm afraid all the Universe Supreme Masters who disappeared in the Land of Darkness had something to do with it. As for Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God, they must have begged for mercy and become the slaves of the sector beasts because they were afraid of death. Even Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor were defeated. This sector beast must have reached a higher level. Hearing Morosa's words, countless great beings from Universe Ocean were shocked. Looking at the great beings from the human race, they were all filled with killing intent. They looked at Morosa as if they wanted to cut it into pieces. The two of you must taste more delicious than that huge axe creator. Morosa twisted his neck, and the black light around his body started to jump. Seeing that, Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor summoned their respective supreme godly weapons at the same time. However, before they could do anything, a being landed in front of them. As expected, the owner of All Heaven Shop has made his move. This Morosa killed Hugh Jack's creator. Of course, the human race has to show up. The owner of All Heaven Shop is also an eternal true God. I really hope he can kill this sector beast. Looking at Chubei's back, the great beings from Universe Ocean started to talk. The human race? Could it be that you want to avenge the Hugh Jack's founder? Morosa looked at Chubei with disdain. But judging from your force, you don't taste very good. Chubei smiled. Without saying anything, he waved his right hand. Then, a chain glowing with black light shot out of his palm and lashed out at Morosa. Hong! Long! 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 Wherever the chain passed, the starry sky of the Land of Darkness was distorted. Many huge gaps were torn open. At that moment, the disdain on Morosa's face disappeared. Instead, it was filled with shock and surprise. Hua! The chain, which carried the power of devouring like a giant serpent, reached Morosa in an instant. The tip of the chain swung, bringing up dense black snowflakes. The snowflakes fluttered in the air. In addition to the terrifying power of devouring, the chain also imprisoned the space where Morosa was. Morosa's huge pupils constricted, and with a low roar, the black mist around it instantly turned into a turbulent black stream of water, rushing toward the chain that was whipping toward it. Dang! The black stream of water, which was almost solid, collided with the giant snake-like chain, causing a crisp trembling sound to ring out. Suddenly, a cage-like square space appeared around Chubei and Morosa. The collision between the black stream of water and the chain created a terrifying energy storm that wreaked havoc in this space. Terrifying roars that resembled the roars of primordial beasts could be heard. At first, the black water flow was able to resist the snake-like chain. However, as time went by, the chain finally cut open the black water flow and whipped Sector Beast Morosa. Pa! The seemingly soft whip of the black chain, which carried a terrifying devouring power, became unbelievably violent the moment it hit Morosa. Under the whipping, Morosa's head caved in. It looked like a gold ingot. Pa! 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 After the first whipping, the chain started to swing again. The second, third, fourth, and fifth hit fell one after another. Chapter 610. Ho! The angry roar echoed throughout Universe Ocean. Sector Beast Morosa's eyes started to turn red, and they were filled with endless killing intent. After being whipped by the strange chains again and again, the power in its body was constantly being depleted, as if it was being eaten away bit by bit. I'm going to eat you! Amidst the roar, Morosa looked at the countless sector beasts in the distance, shivering in fear. The next moment, it waved its claws. Like a giant net, it imprisoned thousands of sector beasts with the power of universe masters. Then it opened its mouth and swallowed them. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the sector beasts were gone. On the other hand, after swallowing those sector beasts, Morosa's power surged. Chi! 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 Morosa shot out bloody light from its eyes, shining on the black water flow. At that moment, the black water flow seemed to have been injected with some horrible energy. It turned into many black threads and quickly covered Chubei in the distance. The black threads were so fast that they didn't seem to be limited by the speed limit of Universe Ocean. They reached Chubei in an instant and surrounded him like a black silk cocoon. Die, you bastard! Morosa let out a cold roar and showed up above the black silk cocoon. At the same time, it slapped its claws with horrible power. There were ripples in front of its claws. Apparently, it was attacking the godly soul as well. However, just as Morosa's sharp claws were about to hit the cocoon wrapped around Chubei, an earth-shattering explosion suddenly rang out. The next moment, the cocoon exploded, and a long spear made of Xiaohei's power and the power of reputation shot out. The tip of the spear was surrounded by mist, and all kinds of lights were intertwined on the body of the spear. Xiao! The long spear streaked across the sky like a dazzling rainbow. Wherever it went, the space collapsed inch by inch, creating circles of strange swirling ripples. Hong! The claw and the spear collided. Instantly, Morosa's giant body trembled. With a painful howl, Morosa's claws were broken. Then its whole body was penetrated by the power of Chubei's spear, and it started to crack. Roar! Morosa's expression became more and more twisted. After glaring fiercely at Chubei, its huge body began to turn transparent and illusory. What? Didn't you want to have a taste of me? Why do you want to run away? At this moment, Chubei's mocking voice echoed through the starry sky. As soon as Chubei finished speaking, a huge golden disc appeared above Morosa's head, gushing with a terrifying tearing force. Under the combined attack of the golden disc and the spear, the originally transparent figure of Morosa in the center became solid again, but it was torn apart. Human, what will it take for you to let me go? Sensing the changes in its body, Morosa stared at Chubei with fear in its eyes. Chubei looked at Morosa with a smile and said nothing. Human, since you won't let me go, I'll kill you! Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Receiving no response, Morosa's huge eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. Then Morosa opened its huge mouth and spat out a black beam of light. Like a signal, it instantly covered the entire land of darkness. Hong! 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 As Morosa spat out the black beam of light, the entire land of darkness started to shake. The barren mountains exploded one after another. Then came the roars of sector beasts, one after another. Especially in the depths of the distant land of dusk, there were even a few extremely terrifying auras. At this moment, not far away, the sector beasts that had been staying outside looked at the depths of the land of darkness in fear. Their bodies trembled even more violently. Are those sector beasts too? It's summoning its companions from the depths of the land of darkness. What a terrifying force fluctuation! Looking at the huge figures emerging from the depths of the land of darkness, the great beings from Universe Ocean were horrified. Many of them are as strong as me, but almost all of them are sleeping. Now that I've woken them up, maybe they'll devour me as soon as they see me, but they won't let you go. Morosa looked at the huge figures that had woken up in the depths of the land of darkness, then looked at Chu Bei. Its eyes were filled with madness. Under the gazes of the great beings from Universe Ocean, the huge figures in the depths of the land of darkness started to disappear. When they reappeared, they were already in the outer region of the land of darkness. Those huge figures were scattered in the starry sky, looking at Morosa and the great beings from Universe Ocean coldly. They seemed to have no emotions at all. There were thousands of them, and there were close to 100 whose forces were as strong as Morosa's. No, impossible! What kind of terrifying power is this? Close to 100 eternal true gods. Even if the owner of all heaven's shop can deal with one of them, he can't deal with so many of them at the same time. This primal universe origin is sending us to our deaths. Looking at the surrounding sector beasts that were releasing terrifying auras, the great beings of the universe, including Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor, all turned gray. Their expressions were extremely ugly. Even the sitting mountain guest, who had been watching the show, was a little shocked. The only one whose expression didn't change was Chu Bei, who was on the battlefield. Morosa, I can't believe you're forced to this point by your own food. How ridiculous! An eternal true god-level sector beast said in a mocking tone. As soon as it finished speaking, its huge body disappeared. When it reappeared, it was right next to Morosa with its mouth open. Bei, how dare you! Morosa's pupils shrank, and its voice was filled with hatred. If I eat you, I'll be able to reach a higher level. The powerful sector beast called Bei sneered. However, just as it was about to swallow the weak Morosa, the golden disc pressed down. In the next moment, a terrifying suction force spread out and engulfed Morosa. Ah! With a miserable howl of pain, Morosa's massive body was forcefully sucked into the golden disc. At the same time, Xiaohei's spear, which was formed by alternating the power of Xiaohei and the power of reputation, swept towards Bei. Bei seemed to sense danger, so it immediately distanced itself from the long spear and returned to its original position. Morosa's dead. Where did he come from? He's even more powerful than Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. Since when did Universe Ocean have an eternal true god? Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God looked at each other. You were the one who killed Morosa. At this moment, not only Betty, but all the sector beasts from the depths of the land of darkness were looking at Chu Bei. Their eyes were filled with greed, as if they had seen something delicious. Chapter 611. You're all here under the order of the original universe origin, aren't you? Suddenly, a low and gloomy hoarse voice sounded from the depths of the land of dusk. Then, a red sector beast flew out from the depths. It was much bigger than Morosa and Betty. Its power was different from the other sector beasts at the eternal true god level. Its aura was very weak, almost undetectable. It had been restrained to an extremely terrifying level. Pasuo Emperor! You're still alive! When Betty and the other eternal true god level sector beasts saw this red sector beast, they were all dazed. They couldn't believe it. Apart from shock, there was also some fear and vigilance. In every universe era, besides the birth of a new original universe, 1 billion sector beasts would be born. These sector beasts would eat each other until a terrifying sector beast king was born. Morosa, Betty, and the other sector beasts were all products of this universe era. Pasua Emperor was a sector beast from the first universe era, and she was the last sector beast king from that universe era. The mission of every universe era's sector beast is to kill each other until only one is left. However, when the other races invade, they'll stop fighting until all the other races are killed. Pasua Emperor glanced at the great beings from Universe Ocean. She raised her claws and waved at Chubei. Hong! Long! Long! With a loud sound, the red ripples became solid and turned into a bloody river, rushing toward Chubei. Buzz! Buzz! The long spear was shaking, emitting lights of all colors. The golden disc was spinning crazily, releasing a terrifying devouring power. The two intertwined and went toward the bloody river. Pun! There was a shocking explosion. After the torrential blood river broke apart the long spear and the golden disc, it instantly bombarded Chubei's body. How? How is that possible? The owner of All Heaven's shop lost. He killed Morosa, a pinnacle eternal true god. Could it be that this sector beast has surpassed the eternal true god realm? The expressions of the great beings from Universe Ocean changed as they watched the owner of All Heaven's shop retreat. This was especially so for Teacher Origin, Primal Chaos City Leader, and other human elites. Their faces were filled with worry. If even the owner of All Heaven's shop is defeated, then we are doomed to die under the claws of those sector beasts. We are still too greedy. You shouldn't have come to this land of darkness. What's there to regret? Even if we don't come now, when these sector beasts leave, we will still die. Some great beings from Universe Ocean sighed, but there were also great beings who were not afraid of death. Since you've taken the initiative to deliver yourself to my doorstep, wouldn't it be a pity if I don't properly taste it? After Pasua King made her move, Betty and the other eternal true god-level sector beasts all revealed mocking smiles. They looked at the great beings from Universe Ocean as if they were looking at delicious food. Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God were the closest to the sector beasts. My lord, we are Morosa's subordinates. We have long since submitted to you. Jinjia Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God sensed the danger immediately. Their faces changed, and their eyes were filled with terror. Morosa is not here. Even if he were, he wouldn't be able to protect you. As soon as the Jinjia Emperor and the Dragon Rock Ancestor God's terrified voice fell, Beidi had already appeared in front of them. He swung his claws and easily tore them to pieces. Much better than my companions. Betty licked the blood at the corner of its lips. When it looked at the great beings from Universe Ocean again, its eyes were filled with madness. Who? The great beings from Universe Ocean who witnessed this all stared at Betty. They all gasped, and their expressions became more and more fearful. Now it's your turn. Not only Betty, but the other eternal true god-level sector beasts were also eager to make a move. However, just as these sector beasts were about to pounce on the great beings from Universe Ocean, there was a loud rumble. A giant palace appeared above the great beings from Universe Ocean. Then, 3 beings in white robes walked out of the palace. They stood side by side, and their white robes glowed faintly with colorful light. At the same time, they exuded terrifying power, which spread out in all directions from the 3 ancestral gods. Then, a cloud of colorful mist appeared. That's the original Universe Origin! And its 3 spokespersons! Damn it! It's the one who tricked us! Otherwise, why would we be in such a situation? There are close to 100 eternal Scar true god sector beasts among them, and we only have one eternal true god, the master of All Heaven's shop. Other than him, there are only 2 true gods of void space, Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor. Even the number of Universe Supreme Masters can be counted with 2 hands. That's right. This is not a battle at the same level at all. Seeing the original Universe Origin arrive, the great beings from Universe Ocean started to complain right away. Pasua, you are indeed still alive! The colorful mist trembled and let out an ethereal voice. Paso Emperor looked at the original universe origin calmly and said in a cold voice, I haven't dealt with you yet, and you've made the first move. You're not powerful enough, so I'll give you an opportunity now. A huge pupil appeared in the colorful mist. As its voice fell, countless colorful rays of light shot out from the pupil. In an instant, the colorful light scattered and headed toward each great being of universe ocean. Chi-La! Right when a multicolored thread was about to enter the space between Chu Bei's brows, Chu Bei flicked his finger and forcefully shattered it. The colorful light beams that shot toward Luo Feng and the other great beings from the human race were also shattered. As for the great beings from the other races, Chu Bei didn't care about them. Almost at the same time, the great beings from other races were pierced between their eyebrows by the colorful light beams. At that moment, all the great beings from Universe Ocean, including Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor, were glowing with colorful light. It was as though they were covered with a layer of colorful armor. Gradually, their auras began to increase exponentially. Terrifying auras directly tore through the surrounding void, making sizzling sounds. What? What's with this power? I've never felt so powerful before. Could this be the opportunity bestowed by the universe origin? What level of power do we have now? Sensing the changes in their bodies, as well as the abundant power, the great beings from Universe Ocean were thrilled. Even Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor looked excited. Elder, what is their power level? Primal Chaos City Leader and Teacher Origin looked at Chu Bei at the same time, confused. Chu Bei looked at Primal Chaos City Leader and answered, This is only temporary, and it won't do them any good. With the support of the universe's origin energy, regardless of whether it was Purple Moon Primogenitor, East Emperor Primogenitor, or Ironwood Primogenitor, their powers had all increased tremendously. Is this the power of an eternal true God? It should be the pinnacle. Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor looked at each other, and they were excited. Then, the two great beings looked at Chu Bei at the same time. Their eyes were filled with fighting spirit, and they had the urge to compete with him. Above swirling water river, they were shocked by Chu Bei's power. Now that they were both pinnacle eternal true gods, they naturally wanted to spar with Chu Bei. It was a pity that the current situation wasn't suitable for internal strife, as they had a common enemy. Sensing the gazes of the Purple Moon Ancestor and the East Emperor Ancestor, Chu Bei's lips curled up into a smile as he ignored them. Chapter 612. In Universe Ocean, Chu Bei glanced at Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor calmly. With the support of the power of the primal universe origin, Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor's power had entered the peak eternal true God level. With the cultivation system of perfect world, that was the power of a 9th-level celestial king. They were indeed qualified to fight with him. As for Ironwood Ancestor, Shocking Sky Ancestor, and the other Universe Supreme Masters, they had also reached the eternal true God level, but they were only at the 6th level of Immortal King Realm. As for the Universe Masters, they had all become true gods of void space. As long as you kill all these sector beasts, the power you have now will last forever. The colorful mist swayed, and a terrifying voice was heard in the minds of the great beings from Universe Ocean. Hearing this voice, the great beings from Universe Ocean became more excited. It was as if they were burning their origins, and their auras became more violent. At the same time, they looked at the army of sector beasts with more murderous intent. Kill! Kill all these sector beasts! The great beings from Universe Ocean, including Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor, seemed to have been possessed. They started to fly toward the army of sector beasts. The stronger you are, the better you taste. Sensing the change in the auras of the great beings from Universe Ocean, the disdain on the faces of Betty and the other sector beasts disappeared. They became more serious, but they still couldn't hide their thirst for blood. Hong! Long! In an instant, the two armies were engaged in a fierce battle. The auras of the two armies were completely opposite. The colorful light armor of the great beings from Universe Ocean gave off the aura of life. It was as if it could breed everything. The aura of the sector beasts was the opposite. It gave off a dark and gloomy feeling, as if it could destroy everything. On the battlefield, countless figures were intertwining and killing each other. There were all kinds of continuous collisions and explosions. Is this a battle between eternal true gods? At this moment, the human army that had not been shot through by the colorful light threads, including Teacher Origin and Primal Chaos City Leader, had all become spectators. They held their breaths and stared at the battlefield, clenching their fists. "Senior, let's join in!" Primal Chaos City Leader looked at Chu Bei. His eyes were filled with the desire to fight. The outcome of this battle does not depend on them. Chu Bei glanced at the battlefield. He shook his head and smiled. Then he looked at the colorful mist that represented the origin of the original universe, and the sector beast King Pessoa from the first reincarnation era. At that moment, the primal universe Origin and Pessoa Emperor were like old acquaintances. They looked at each other from afar and didn't care about the two armies fighting each other. "You must have sensed it, right? That is why you are so eager to slaughter all the sector beasts." Pessoa King was the first to speak. The complex patterns on the surface of her huge blood-red body began to flow. A white light appeared above her two heads, containing endless destructive power. The next moment, a sickle appeared in its right claw. The primal universe Origin didn't respond. Instead, a beam of colorful light shot out of the huge pupil, which carried hundreds of law origins and attacked Hasa Emperor. "Boundary Light Domain!" A cold and ruthless voice came out of Hasa King's mouth. As soon as she said that, a strong black light domain surged out of Hasa King's body. It instantly covered the battlefield between her and the primal universe Origin. At the same time, the silver wings on Hasa King's back opened, and the sickle in her claws burst out with dazzling light. There seemed to be endless stars flowing around the blade, and it went toward the colorful light from the primal universe Origin. Hong! Long! An earth-shattering explosion exploded in Hasa King's boundary light domain. At that moment, the great beings from Universe Ocean and the army of sector beasts stopped fighting at the same time. They all looked at boundary light domain. Long! 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 In boundary light domain, two huge shadows kept colliding with each other. Every time they collided, a large amount of chaotic airflow would be generated. As expected, Hasa King has already reached level 7 and become a Chaos Master. It's the same for the primal universe Origin of this reincarnation era. It's also a Chaos Master. Looking at the chaotic airflow in boundary light domain, Betty and the other eternal true god-level sector beasts exclaimed. As for the great beings from Universe Ocean, they looked confused. Chaos Master? Is that the level after becoming an eternal true god? Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor looked at each other and muttered to themselves. Senior, how much do you know about the Chaos Master? Teacher Origin looked at Chu Bei, confused. True gods of void space, and eternal true gods, you already know this. Eternal true gods can form miniature universes with just a thought. At this level, they've already comprehended the universe Origin. For example, they can comprehend the origin of water and fire, the origin of time and space, and the origin of light and darkness. As long as they can comprehend any one of them, they can become an eternal true god. Before Chu Bei could say anything, a cold voice sounded in the ears of the great beings from Universe Ocean, and then a figure appeared in front of them. Sitting Mountain Guest! Who are you? Hearing Sitting Mountain Guest's words, Teacher Origin and Primal Chaos City Leader asked at the same time. Sitting Mountain Guest ignored Teacher Origin and Primal Chaos City Leader. Instead, he looked at Chu Bei and continued. When you reach the eternal true God realm, the next step is to control chaos. All kinds of laws come from chaos, and that's the ultimate law. To control chaos is to become the Chaos Master. This step is extremely difficult, and many eternal true gods can't break through it. What you see now, Paso Emperor and the origin of the original universe from this universe era, are all at this level. To control chaos, you can turn your heart of true God into chaos space, and you can summon the terrifying chaos law. If he takes another step and becomes a godly king, his level will be so high that he can directly evolve a large-scale universe with a chaotic space. Sitting Mountain Guest continued to look at Sector Light Domain, which was still in a fierce battle. True God of void space, eternal true God, holy, godly king. After Teacher Origin repeated himself, he asked tentatively, "Then is there a higher realm above the God King?" In response to Teacher Origin's question, Sitting Mountain Guest hesitated for a moment. Just as he was about to speak, Chu Bei gave an answer first. "Yes." A calm syllable came out of Chu Bei's mouth. Hearing Chu Bei's words, not only Teacher Origin, Primal Chaos City Leader, and the great beings from Universe Ocean, but even Sitting Mountain Guest looked at Chu Bei strangely. "When you reach that level, the so-called Supreme Law can't restrict you. To be precise, at that level, you can set the Supreme Law with just a thought." Through Sitting Mountain Guest's description of godly kings, Chu Bei roughly determined the level of godly kings in the perfect world. Chapter 613. Judging from the forces of the original universe Origin and Paso Emperor, they were equivalent to third-stage immortal emperors. And in the realm of immortal emperors, every third stage was a heaven abyss, so the power of a fourth-stage immortal emperor and a third-stage immortal emperor was not at the same level at all. As for the godly king realm, it should be equivalent to a fourth-stage immortal emperor, but it hadn't stepped into the true immortal emperor realm yet. "How do you know?" Sitting Mountain Guest stared at Chu Bei, frowning. Chu Bei glanced at Sitting Mountain Guest, still smiling, but did not give an answer. Long. In Sector Light Domain, the battle between the original universe Origin and Paso Emperor was getting more and more intense. The army of Universe Ocean and the army of Sector Beast stared at each other, and their eyes were filled with shock. The battle was still going on, and it was getting more and more intense. After an unknown period of time, finally, Paso Emperor roared with anger and killing intent, and the two figures separated. "Your intuition is right, but you're still one step too late. Or rather, it's you who made me. I wasn't completely sure before, but after this battle with you, I'm now confident that I can transcend." Paso Emperor looked at the original universe Origin and let out a low growl. Then there was a rumbling sound, and the white light at the top of the horns on his two heads became even more dazzling, as if time and space were changing. At that moment, whether it was the great beings of Universe Ocean or the army of Sector Beasts like Betty, they all felt that their eyes were blurred, and there seemed to be two Paso Emperors in their sight. As the white light converged, the void space in the battlefield stabilized, and they realized that there was no illusion. Paso Emperor had indeed split into two. Sector Beast had the ability to have tens of millions of bodies. However, the so-called bodies were far weaker than the original bodies. But now, the two bodies of Paso Emperor had the same aura fluctuation. What was more frightening was that any one of them was stronger than the previous two in one state. "Sector Swallow!" Suddenly, the two Paso Emperors looked at the army of Sector Beasts below at the same time. "What does he want to do?" Looking at the two Paso Emperors, Betty and the other eternal true gods of Sector Beasts froze, and there was a chill in their hearts. However, before they could figure it out, the two Hassa kings in the Sector Light Domain simultaneously shot out a beam of the Law of Chaos. Amidst the booming sounds, two beams of the Law of Chaos intertwined and transformed into a giant black net. In an instant, it fell and enveloped the army of Sector Beasts. All of a sudden, all the Sector Beasts, including Betty, lit up with black light. With a sizzling sound, these black lights rushed toward the two Hassa kings along the giant net. "Damn it! It's trying to devour our Origin! Paso, you are really insidious! Earlier, they had even said that they would fight together against the outsiders. Now, you're actually attacking us. Let me go. Even if I die, I won't let you have it easy. Enveloped by the giant black net, the expressions of the army of sector beasts suddenly became twisted and hideous. They looked like they were in great pain. One by one, they let out shrill roars filled with rage. Among them, there were even eternal true god-level sector beasts who chose to blow up their origins, trying to perish together with Hasa King. Unfortunately, the terrifying energy produced by the self-destruction of these sector beasts was assimilated by the giant black net before it could even touch the two Hasa Kings. In the end, it slowly flowed into the two Hasa Kings' bodies. At that moment, the auras of the two Hasa Kings were increasing crazily. Within a few seconds, with a loud boom, the two Hasa Kings seemed to have broken some kind of barrier at the same time. They seemed to have been sublimated. Senior, what's the power of that sector beast now? Teacher Origin pointed at the two Hasa Kings in sector light domain and frowned. Godly king level! Before Chubei could say anything, sitting mountain guest had already said solemnly. Sensing the change in the aura of Hasa King, the giant eyes that represented the original universe obviously became more solemn. Schwa! Destruction of sector! The two Hasa Kings looked at the original universe at the same time. The bloody engravings on the surface of their bodies floated and turned into giant bloody engravings, forming two giant sector beasts of light. The two sector beasts of light, one on the left and one on the right, merged together and spread out immediately, instantly enveloping the original universe. Almost at the same time, the original universe also used its most powerful chaos attack to resist the terrifying light of destruction. Hong! Long! There was another loud bang. The entire sector light domain was filled with dazzling white light. The original universe and the two Hasa Kings couldn't be seen anymore. All that could be seen were two terrifying whirlpool portals. The outer walls of the two whirlpool portals were like mirrors, entangling and spinning with each other. At that moment, regardless of whether it was the great beings from Universe Ocean or the army of sector beasts whose origins had been sucked dry, they all stared at the battlefield in sector light domain. They knew that the battle between the original universe and Hasa King was about to end, and there would be a result soon. Pun! Countless creatures waited anxiously, and finally, there was another explosion in sector light domain. What followed was an endless shockwave. Finally, sector light domain collapsed. The next moment, a giant eye flew out of the battlefield, and the colorful mist around it was about to be extinguished. Hong! Long! 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 Right at that moment, on the battlefield below, those great beings from Universe Ocean who had been supported by the original universe had their light armor explode, creating a terrifying explosive power. Under this explosive power, even Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor let out shrill and painful screams. Their expressions were distorted to the extreme. As for the true god great beings like Ironwood Ancestor and Shocking Sky Ancestor, as well as the Universe Masters, they were in extreme pain, as if they were suffering from an irresistible torture. That's the original universe origin. Has it been defeated? Its aura is so chaotic. The reason our power disappeared must be because the original universe origin has been defeated. And we're suffering from the backlash. Looking at the giant eye flying toward them, the great beings from Universe Ocean tried their best to suppress their pain and scream. Today is the day all the universes are destroyed. The white light dissipated, and an indifferent and cold in the forest voice was heard in the dark land. As soon as the voice was heard, Hasa King's body reappeared in the sight of all the creatures. Then, under countless gazes, the two bodies of Hasa King merged into one again. Her sharp eyes glanced at the severely injured original universe origin and the countless creatures below. That sector beast is not injured at all. Even the original universe origin has been defeated. Who else can stop it? Is the universe we live in really going to be destroyed? No. My power is restricted. It's just a beam of light. The great beings from Universe Ocean trembled the moment they met Hasa King's eyes. Then, fear appeared on their faces. Chapter 6:14. In the land of darkness, a terrifying power shot out of Pasua Emperor's eyes and penetrated the bodies of all the great beings who were watching the fight. Their godly powers were restrained, and they couldn't move at all. "Let's start with you, ants," Pasua Emperor said. Suddenly, Hassa King spoke again. The terrible sound waves brought up a black ripple, rushing down like a surging wave. Ah! In an instant, a series of screams rang out. Even the pinnacle true gods of void space like Purple Moon Ancestor and East Emperor Ancestor started to break apart under the impact of the black ripple. As for the true gods and universe masters, their bodies exploded right away. Every time they exploded and reformed, their forces would obviously weaken by 10%. Rumble! Rumble! Just as the great beings from Universe Ocean were feeling indignant, yet they had no choice but to wait for their deaths, the heavily injured primal universe origin let out a buzzing sound. Then it flew above their heads. Chi! The original universe origin shot out a beam of chaotic light, which turned into a light wall to resist the impact of the black ripple. "Do you think you're still qualified to be my opponent?" Pasua Emperor looked down at the chaotic light wall with disdain. Ka! As Pasua Emperor snorted, the black ripple seemed to be infused with new terrifying power, and when it hit the chaotic light wall again, cracks appeared on it. "Let's go. If we leave now, we can live a little longer." Sitting Mountain Guest looked at Teacher Origin and the great beings from the human race. "It's already surpassed Chaos Master and entered the godly king level. No one can stop it anymore. The universe is doomed to be destroyed. If you can survive this, you'll be able to witness the arrival of a new universe era. But where can we go?" When they heard Sitting Mountain Guest's words, Ancestor Origin and Primal Chaos City Leader looked at each other. Their faces were filled with loneliness. "Senior, aren't you going to leave?" Primal Chaos City Leader looked at Chu Bei. Although he still didn't know where Chu Bei came from, he knew he didn't belong to this universe. Chu Bei put his hand on Luo Feng's shoulder while looking at Primal Chaos City Leader. Then he looked at the great beings from Universe Ocean who were trapped under the chaotic light wall. He shook his head, seemingly hesitating about something. "I really don't want to waste it like this." After a long while, a faint sigh came out of Chu Bei's mouth. Although Chu Bei's sigh was not loud, it shook the deepest part of everyone's heart, like a bronze bell ringing in their minds. "Waste what?" Upon hearing Chu Bei's words, Sitting Mountain Guest, Teacher Origin, Primal Chaos City Leader, and the group of powerful beings from the human race looked at Chu Bei in confusion. But with just a glance, their bodies suddenly tensed up, and their faces froze. In a split second, the space where the human experts were fell silent. Everyone fell deathly silent as they stared at Chu Bei in a daze, as if their souls had been hooked. At that moment, everything seemed to have stopped. For a moment, they saw that Chu Bei had transformed into a vast starry sky that was tens of thousands of times larger than the original universe. There were all kinds of miniature universes in it. But when they focused, the vast starry sky turned back into Chu Bei. It was like an illusion. Your aura. Who are you?" During the battle between the original universe Origin and Pasua Emperor, Sitting Mountain Guest's expression had not changed. Pasua Emperor had stepped into the godly king level, and Sitting Mountain Guest was only slightly surprised. But now, looking at Chu Bei, his expression changed dramatically. His entire body was like a bolt from the blue. It was as if he had been struck by lightning. He was like a clay statue, and his entire body was numb. Teacher Origin and Primal Chaos City Leader were dumbfounded. This owner of all heaven's shops suddenly seemed to have changed into another person. He was right in front of them, but he gave them a feeling that he was out of their reach. Whether it was Teacher Origin or Primal Chaos City Leader, both of their brains seemed to have lost the ability to think. They stood there motionless like pieces of wood, staring at Chu Bei in a daze. As for the other great beings of the human race, they also noticed the change in Chu Bei. They were all at a loss. On the other side. Ka-cha! Ka-cha! Under the bombardment of the black ripples, more and more cracks appeared on the chaotic light wall created by the original universe origin. It was on the verge of collapse. Looking at the original universe origin itself, its huge eyes were bleeding with golden blood, and its aura was starting to decline. It seemed to be the end of its life. Is it really going to be annihilated? Looking at the original universe origin that was about to disappear, the great beings of Universe Ocean were all mumbling to themselves. Their eyes were filled with hatred for Paseo Emperor and reluctance to part with this world. Destroy! As Paseo Emperor's cold and indifferent voice floated out, the black ripples transformed into a black giant hammer. It crashed down with a force that could destroy the heavens and earth. Looking at the giant black hammer above their heads, which was so huge that it almost covered the entire outer region of the land of darkness, the great beings of Universe Ocean suddenly looked relieved. They were no longer afraid of death. Chi. However, just as the great beings of Universe Ocean closed their eyes to welcome the giant black hammer crashing down, death still didn't come. However, a strange and clear sound rang in their ears. One by one, the great beings of Universe Ocean opened their eyes and looked up. What they saw stunned them once again. Paseo Emperor's attack was dissolved. What's going on? Is Master Primal Universe Origin still struggling? No! That's not the power of the original Universe Origin. Then where did those light spots come from? The great beings of Universe Ocean stared blankly at the scene above their heads. They were confused and lost. They looked up and saw that when the black giant hammer was less than 30 feet away from the crumbling chaotic light wall, a gorgeous light spot appeared out of nowhere and enveloped the black giant hammer. Under the cover of those gorgeous light spots, the black giant hammer was disintegrating at a terrifying speed until it completely turned into nothingness. How is this possible? Even the original universe origin can't stop Paseo. How is it possible that there's something that can stop Paseo? What kind of energy was it that dissolved the whirling attack? Where did it come from? Not only were the great beings of Universe Ocean shocked, but the army of sector beasts was also shocked. They looked at each other with disbelief in their eyes. Huh! Paseo Emperor watched her attack being dissolved. She focused her eyes on the gorgeous light spot and frowned. As she murmured in confusion, one of her heads opened its giant mouth and spat out a black beam of light. It went toward the original universe origin and the great beings of Universe Ocean again. In terms of energy waves, this black beam of light was even more terrifying than the black giant hammer. Under such power, the army of sector beasts and the great beings of Universe Ocean almost suffocated. Chapter 615. Pun! However, just as the black beam of light was about to hit the wall of chaotic light that was on the verge of collapsing, the brilliant light spots transformed into a giant hand that swept across and destroyed the black beam of light. Who's there? Seeing her attack blocked again, Paseo Emperor yelled. Her killing intent engulfed the entire land of darkness. At the same time, a being showed up in the sky, facing Paseo Emperor. Who is he? Was he the one who blocked Paseo's attack? It's a great being from the human race. Looking at the figure in the sky, the army of sector beasts, including Betty, who were on the verge of death, looked confused. On the other hand, when the great beings from Universe Ocean saw the appearance of the figure clearly, their expressions changed. They gasped, and their eyes widened in shock. They fell into a trance and became numb. He, the owner of All Heaven's shop, Purple Moon Primogenitor, East Emperor Primogenitor, Ironwood Primogenitor, and Sky Shaking Primogenitor couldn't finish their sentences. Since the arrival of the original universe origin, they'd neglected Chu Bei's existence. They'd almost forgotten about him. Now, his appearance reminded them of the scene where he had suppressed the Purple Moon Primogenitor not long ago. Isn't he an eternal true god? How could he resolve the attack of that sector beast for us? Even the original universe origin was defeated! Just as the great beings from Universe Ocean were puzzled, a rumbling sound was heard from the distant sky. At the same time, they suddenly realized that the owner of All Heaven's shop seemed to become unreal. It was as if an illusion had appeared in their eyes. It was as if the owner of the All Heaven's shop was changing. Not only that, but what each great being saw was different. Some great beings saw him as a vast starry sky, including countless universes bigger than the original universe. Some experts saw that he had transformed into an ancient towering tree. Below the ancient tree, there was a dense Taiji diagram revolving. Around it, there was a chubby baby spiraling. Above the ancient tree, a golden bowl was upside down, and a green light beam was hanging down. There were billions of images of worshipping. Some great beings saw him as a fire burning around him, containing mysterious fire laws. Some great beings saw him as a dazzling being without a real body. He seemed to be formed by light, containing the supreme laws of Emperor Path. Some great beings saw him as he moved the vast starry sky with his finger. Some experts saw him accompanied by the 9 heavens' thunder. Black, purple, green, and other colors of lightning were everywhere. There were even some lightning that evolved into the appearance of ancient divine beasts. With just a glance, they couldn't help but kowtow in worship. There were experts who saw him. White light filled the air around him, extending like a spiderweb within the void of primal chaos, causing it to split apart and then heal again, repeating the process over and over again. Some great beings saw him as he waved his right arm, and the entire sky above Tilted Peak sector collapsed. The river of time seemed to bear an irresistible gravity, and it hung like a waterfall. What? What's going on? All Heaven's shop owner is to All Heaven's shop. Are my eyes to be fooled? The group of great beings from Universe Ocean widened their eyes as they stared at Chu Bei in a daze. This scene was too weird. The owner of All Heaven's shop was above them, but they couldn't break through the illusion and see Chu Bei's real body. Just as countless experts were discussing in shock, there was a buzzing sound, and the illusion in their line of sight disappeared. They could once again see Chu Bei's appearance clearly. Chu Bei didn't have any energy waves, and he didn't have any aura. He looked like an ordinary person. However, if one were to take a closer look, they would find that there were tiny light spots pulsating around his body. Each light spot was evolving into a different universe. Every time these specks of light pulsed, they would bring forth billions of Dao flowers, as well as boundless galaxies and galaxies. Dao flowers, star areas, and star rivers were all contained in those tiny light spots. Even true gods of void space and universe supreme masters couldn't detect those light spots if they didn't sense them carefully. You're the one who's stopping me! Paseo Emperor looked at Chu Bei coldly. Chu Bei looked at Paseo Emperor. He was expressionless, and there was no emotion on his face. His eyes were very indifferent. It seemed that in his eyes, this King Hassa who had broken through to the Divine King realm was nothing. On the battlefield, Chu Bei put his hands behind his back and looked around indifferently. He was as calm as water. It was as if nothing here could tug at his heartstrings. Take me as your master, and I'll save you! Finally, Chu Bei looked in the direction of the original universe origin. Following that, a calm voice that was dignified and irresistible sounded. What? The owner of All Heaven's shop wants the original universe origin to recognize him as its master? My God! The owner of All Heaven's shop is crazy! Hearing Chu Bei's words, all the great beings from Universe Ocean were dazed, as if they'd heard something unbelievable. Sitting Mountain Guest, Teacher Origin, Primal Chaos City Leader, and the other great beings were the same. They all stared at Chu Bei in shock. No matter who you are, it's impossible for me to take you as my master! The original universe origin trembled. Besides, I know my situation better than anyone else. There's no way to fix it. My life has come to an end, and everything will be handed over to the next reincarnation. Along with the angry snort of the primal universe origin, a terrifying beam of light formed by the interweaving of chaos laws shot toward Chu Bei. Hong Long! However, before that beam of light touched Chu Bei, It was squeezed into nothingness by an invisible force. Do you know the consequences of attacking me? Chu Bei's cold voice echoed in the land of darkness as the chaotic beam of light was annihilated. Unlike before, when they heard Chu Bei's voice, all the great beings from Universe Ocean trembled as if they'd fallen into an ice cellar. Almost at the same time, the original Universe Origin seemed to be hit by an invisible force, and it flew backward. Instantly, the original Universe Origin's aura hit rock bottom and almost died. Hiss! The great beings from Universe Ocean couldn't help but take a deep breath as they looked at the original Universe Origin, which was twitching in the distance and had almost no aura left. Just as countless pairs of horrified eyes were cast on Chu Bei, he raised his right hand and waved it gently. The next moment, a blooming flower of Tao hovered above the dying primal Universe Origin. The flower of Tao spun, and the pollen fell on the origin of the primal universe. Within a few seconds, the original Universe Origin's aura started to grow, and colorful mist rose around it again. It's recovering. The great beings from Universe Ocean sensed the aura ripples of the primal Universe Origin recovering quickly, and they all stared at the spinning flower of Tao in a daze. Chapter 616. Under the gazes of countless great beings, within a few seconds, the original Universe Origin was filled with colorful mist again, and its life force returned to its peak state. I can let you be reborn, or I can let you die. Chu Bei looked at the original Universe Origin calmly, and his expression didn't change at all. I'll give you one more chance to choose. Shua! As Chu Bei's voice fell, the field fell into a deathly silence. Not only great beings from Universe Ocean, but even the great beings from the Sector Beast Army were all looking at the original Universe Origin. The original Universe Origin trembled with a buzzing sound, and the colorful mist around it contained chaos laws. If it had been in the past, it wouldn't have swallowed its pride, because in its eyes, it was the supreme master of this vast universe. However, ever since it lost to Queen Pusaw, who had transcended, it felt that death was approaching. Not only that, but just now, the master of all heaven's shop had attacked it. 1 second, he'd pushed it to the brink of death, and the next second, he'd restored it to its peak state. This had made it realize that there was always someone better. Under the latter's terrifying power, it felt like a grain of sand facing a boundless desert. It was very small, and it couldn't summon any will to resist. It could be said that it had no power to resist at all. The original Universe Origin was hesitating. After a while, I'm willing to take you as my master. The original Universe Origin made its choice. It looked at Chu Bei, and a respectful voice floated in the entire land of darkness. You've made the right decision. Chu Bei's voice was heard, and then he flicked his finger, and a white ball of light went into the original Universe Origin's body. Suddenly, the original Universe Origin trembled, and its life force became violent, but it soon calmed down. Sensing the white ball of light in its body, which seemed like it could explode with terrifying destructive power at any time, the original Universe Origin sighed helplessly at first, but in the blink of an eye, it looked happy. It suddenly realized that the white ball of light that the person in front of it had injected into its body could not only kill it at any time, but it was also constantly nourishing it. Under the nourishment of this power, it was inexplicably confident that in less than 10,000 years, it could surpass the Chaos Dominator level and enter the Godly King level. Sir Primal Universe Origin actually recognized All Heaven's Shop Master as his master. In other words, the owner of All Heaven's Shop is not only the protector of the human race, but he is also the master of the original universe and the entire universe. This is too sudden. Upon hearing the words of the Primal Universe Origin, the group of great beings from Universe Ocean heaved a long sigh of relief. When they looked at Chu Bei again, their gazes were filled with astonishment and respect. The origin of the primal universe has recognized Teacher as its master. Luo Feng was in a daze as he muttered to himself. Master Origin looked at Sitting Mountain Guest beside him, and asked, Sitting Mountain Guest, what is the Elder's current level? His god power is different from ours. I can't see through it. Maybe it's a high-level divine king, or maybe... Sitting Mountain Guest's voice trailed off as he shook his head. What you mean is that he is most likely at the realm that transcends the godly king realm. Teacher Origin's pupils shrank. Sitting Mountain Guest didn't answer. He just nodded. At the same time, high up in the sky, Chu Bei looked away from the primal universe Origin and looked at the great beings from universe Ocean. A beam of light shot out from his eyes, and another flower of great path appeared. The petals fluttered, and the gorgeous pollen with the refreshing fragrance poured onto the great beings from universe Ocean. In an instant, the great beings from universe Ocean were wrapped in gorgeous light, and mysterious power flowed through their limbs and bones, repairing and nourishing their bodies. The feeling of weakness is gone. The injuries caused by the backlash from the primal universe Origin are healed. It's that elder who healed us. Sensing the changes in their bodies, the great beings from universe Ocean were dazed at first, but then they looked excited. Then they cupped their fists and bowed to Chu Bei at the same time. Their eyes were filled with gratitude. Chu Bei glanced at the great beings from universe Ocean and nodded. Then he looked at Pasu Emperor. Who are you? Meeting Chu Bei's eyes, Pasu Emperor's face darkened. Pasu Emperor waved his sharp claws, and a black sickle cut through the sky and reached Chu Bei in an instant. Pun! However, before the destructive force of the black sickle could spread, it was torn apart by Chu Bei's gaze and exploded into a rain of light. Pasu Emperor roared, and his two heads opened their mouths at the same time. Chi! 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 Several black light waves were released, and they attacked Chu Bei from different directions. Chu Bei's expression did not change. From beginning to end, he had a calm and composed attitude. It was as if he wasn't facing a godly king, but an insignificant ant. When the black light waves were about to surround Chu Bei from all directions, a colorful halo appeared on Chu Bei's body. When these black light waves bombarded the colorful halo, they were instantly repelled. Then, just like the previous black sickle, it was annihilated into a rain of light by a supreme force and disappeared. Sector destruction! Seeing her attacks being neutralized one after another, Hassa King's expression became serious. Following that, its body split into two. The two Pasu emperors looked at Chu Bei at the same time. The blood engravings on their bodies turned into two giant blood engravings, forming two giant sector beasts of light. The two sector beasts of light, one on the left and one on the right, merged together and spread out, covering this part of the starry sky. This is the killing move that defeated Master Primal Universe Origin. Will Sect Leader be able to take it? Looking at the extremely dazzling and terrifying light of destruction above their heads, the great beings from Universe Ocean all tensed up, and their expressions were extremely nervous. The battle on the battlefield was related to their lives. To be more precise, it was related to the survival of the entire Universe Ocean. If Chu Bei won, Universe Ocean would be safe. If Chu Bei lost, Universe Ocean would be destroyed, and it would enter the next universe era. Teacher Origin, Primal Chaos City Leader, Luo Feng, and all the other great beings from the human race clenched their fists. They were worried. However, just as countless experts stared nervously at the distant sky, a particularly abrupt colorful halo of light suddenly lit up in the battlefield that was filled with the light of destruction. 1. The moment the colorful light circle appeared, it seemed to have transformed into an endless swallowing hole, and the destructive light that had defeated the origin of the primal universe was crazily sucked into it. Instantly, the dazzling light of destruction disappeared, and the battlefield in the sky went back to how it had been before. My God! Is that the colorful halo from the Master of All Heaven's shop? He absorbed all the sector destruction that Pasu Emperor used. That means the Master of All Heaven's shop really took it. That's an attack that defeated Master Primal Universe Origin. Not only did the Master of All Heaven's shop swallow it, but he didn't even use much strength. What level is the Master of All Heaven's shop at? Don't tell me you still think he's an eternal true God? The group of great beings from Universe Ocean saw the scene on the battlefield clearly again, and their gazes instantly fell on the calm and collected Chu Bei. Their expressions were all extremely shocked. Chapter 617. Is that human really from this reincarnation era? The army of sector beasts, including Betty, were all in disbelief. No. Impossible. How can you take it? On the battlefield, the two Paseo emperors lost their composure and muttered to themselves. Hong! With a roar, the two Paseo emperors looked down again, and bloody light shot out of their eyes. Paseo, what are you doing? Damn it! Put away your thoughts! Looking into Paseo Emperor's eyes, the sector beasts at the eternal true God level understood what she was thinking, and they all changed their expressions. I need you in front of the other races. The two Paseo Emperors looked cold and emotionless. Realm swallow! With that, the black net formed from the laws of chaos appeared once more. The presence it gave off was even more terrifying than before. In an instant, the giant black net covered the army of sector beasts. Not long after, shrill screams rang out one after another as they wailed in pain. Paseo, one king from one universe era! You went against your principles and ate us before we grew up. You won't have a good ending! The eternal true God level sector beasts, including Betty, looked at Paseo Emperor angrily, and their roars were filled with killing intent. Unlike before, when Paseo Emperor needed to transcend to deal with the original universe origin, she only swallowed the origins of other sector beasts. This time, she swallowed the life of other sector beasts as well. Pun! 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 The bodies of the sector beasts exploded one after another, turning into energy that went into Paseo Emperor's body along the giant net. First, it was universe masters, then true gods, and then true gods of void space. In the end, even the eternal true God level sector beasts started to explode and become nourishment for Paseo Emperor. After a long time, Paseo Emperor took back the giant net as if she had eaten enough. There were less than 10 surviving sector beasts, including Betty, and all of them were pinnacle eternal true gods. During this process, Chu Bei didn't stop her at all. He looked at Paseo Emperor like he was watching a show, allowing her force to become more and more terrifying. Rumble! Rumble! On the battlefield, the bodies of the two Paseo Emperors shook violently, and there was a weird buzzing sound. At the same time, a bloody purple mist appeared all over his body. When the blood-purple mist dissipated, Hasa King seemed to have leveled up again. Her body was covered in a layer of blood-purple armor. At the same time, two purple lights shot out from its eyes. Subsequently, amidst the sounds of friction, a terrifying aura that shook the heavens and the earth and was several times more ferocious and violent than before spread out. High-level God King Realm! Sitting mountain guest's face suddenly changed as he sensed the horrifying god power coming from Hasa King. He exclaimed subconsciously. Teacher Origin, Primal Chaos City Leader, and the other great beings from Universe Ocean didn't know much about the godly King Realm, but they could tell from the force that Paseo King was much more powerful than before. Roar! A terrifying and soul-shaking roar that seemed to have come from the primordial times resounded throughout the entire land of dusk. The terrifying sound waves reverberated between the withered mountains, and the starry sky was shaken to the point of shattering. At this moment, Hasa King's roar was filled with heart-palpitating cruelty and brutality. It was filled with endless destruction and slaughter. The source of the roar was the most terrifying calamity in the world. It's going to end. The original universe origin trembled and sent out a godly thought. No matter who you are, I want you dead. Hasa King's roar shook the heavens and the earth. She moved, and her original body turned into a mass of black light and rushed toward Chu Bei. At this moment, not only the land of dusk, but also the entire Tilted Peaks sector and the entire Universe Ocean were distorted under her force. It seemed to be on the verge of destruction. Did you underestimate me or overestimate yourself? As soon as Hassa King's roar ended, Chu Bei's mocking voice sounded. Rumble. Facing the distorted and collapsing space around him, Chu Bei was unmoved. When he finished speaking, he slowly raised his right hand and slapped forward. This palm seemed weak, but the moment it was released, the space that had been distorted by Hassa King suddenly stopped. Then, a palm print quickly enlarged. When it met the mass of black light that Hassa King had turned into, it had become a giant that covered the sky. Pung! The black light that Hassa King had turned into hit the giant and stopped abruptly. The terrifying impact suddenly disappeared, and there was only a low collision sound. The fingers of the giant colorful palm clenched inward, bringing with them a dazzling light. The mass of black light showed the appearance of Hassa King again. She seemed to have sensed the danger, but just as she was about to escape, the energy contained in the giant colorful palm suddenly froze the starry sky. Everything was imprisoned. Ah! The giant colorful palm clenched, and Hassa King suddenly let out a shrill scream. Her face was twisted in pain as if she was suffering from unbearable torture. Looking at the giant body of Hassa King, several forces, such as blazing flames, rolling thunder, and the power of the void, were intertwined, destroying and tearing every part of her body at the same time. When these forces completely penetrated into every cell of Hassa King, there was another earth-shattering sound. With a scream, Hassa King's giant body exploded, turning into black and gold flesh and blood all over the sky. During this process, a blurry shadow could clearly be seen trying to escape, but before it could go far, it was restrained by the ripples of the giant colorful palm and then torn apart. Gradually, the giant colorful palm slowly disappeared, and the battlefield far away in the sky quieted down. If it weren't for the flesh and blood that was still flying and the gap in the starry sky that hadn't recovered yet, they would have thought that nothing had happened. After a short while, the battlefield below fell into a dead silence. Whether it was the great beings of Universe Ocean or the less than 10 dying sector beasts, they all stared at Chu Bei in the sky in a daze. Although they had thought that this might be the result, when they saw it with their own eyes, they still couldn't hide the shock in their hearts. When Hassa King died, among all the great beings in the land of darkness, Sitting Mountain Guest was the most emotional. He stared at Chu Bei in the sky, and his body started to tremble slightly. Hassa, that guy is dead? Betty and the other eternal true god-level sector beasts looked at each other. They glanced at the flesh and blood floating in the sky and murmured with an indescribable expression on their faces. Hassa King had eaten them, and they couldn't wait to tear her into pieces, but now that they had witnessed Hassa King's death with their own eyes, a sense of resistance rose in their hearts. This was not the result they wanted. Hassa King had won, and the few remaining sector beasts could still continue to live. However, Hassa King had died, so they would definitely end up like her. The fact was just as they thought. The mysterious man in the sky far away looked at them. He slapped down, and the land of darkness was directly illuminated by the dazzling colorful light. Pun! Pun! In a series of explosions, the remaining sector beasts, including Betty, also reached the end of their lives. Under Chu Bei's palm, they all turned into nothingness. He won! The owner of All Heaven's shop won! All the sector beasts are dead! Our universe doesn't need to be destroyed! Everything is over! Great! Finally, the great beings from Universe Ocean came back to their senses. They looked at the flesh of Hassa King, which was still floating in the air, and then looked at where Betty and the other sector beasts were, which had already turned into nothingness. They all started to cheer excitedly. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.